Hello and welcome to Fullerton College football on KBPK. I'm Ryan Osborn, joining you live here as we get set for Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City. It is the 3C2A playoffs as we get set for tonight. Ryan Osborn, Mark Pavlovich, and the entire crew live here from Hal Scherbeck Field as we get ready for this one. Mark, you take a look at Fullerton College, the number 2 team in the state. That's where they finished throughout the entirety of the season. And as you have on the screen, Misael Gonzalez is the guy to watch.
Yeah, and when you're looking at Misael, the way he plays, the way he runs, you even told me he's faster than he looks. I say he glides well. You just said he's flat out fast. And that's the thing that'll go on today. We'll see how the rest of the team plays. I've always loved Hayden Kenny on the way he plays the game. I think he's an attacker. I think he's somebody that really brings out well. Ryan, depending on what poll you look at, Fullerton, 1, 2, 3, I guess we could do a lead into a song thinking about where they're ranked at.
We definitely could, and we quickly take a look at Charles Retzer, who's the star on the other side for Santa Barbara City College. As of right now, 12 goals, leading the Vaqueros by at least 8 from the next closest person. 4 game-winning goals, 6th in the Western State Conference in goals overall. This is a guy who can really star for them, Mark. And when you look at Santa Barbara City, they pour on a lot of shots.
Yeah, and that's the thing you were saying. They may not get a lot of goals, but they get a lot of attempts. And if it's one of those off nights when you're in goal, being the keeper for Fullerton, that's something you cannot have tonight. I was at a game earlier today. The women from Cyprus took on Santiago Canyon. Santiago Canyon had shut them out a couple times. Not today, as Cyprus wins 4-0.
So Fullerton College, Santa Barbara City, we are underway. Hal Scherbeck Field is the setting for this one in the city of Fullerton in a, we'll call it, chilly night. In the city of Fullerton, the Breo Linda's watching on as we get set for this one. Backspun floater that goes over towards Misa. He doesn't have a chance to get to that ball up in time. And Cesar Marquez is going to take over. We'll get to the starting lineups in just a couple of moments here. Live from Hal Scherbeck Field, it's KBPK on the air with the round 1 of the SoCal Regional Playoff. Mario Floriano will take over along with Angel Sevillano. We'll get to more on him, one of the 2 co-captains for this Fullerton College squad, and he has been excellent for the Hornets throughout the entirety of the season. Left-hand side, they try and move it through Marquez, who is one of the starting 11 in this one. Fullerton College starting things off with Mario Floriano and Evan Yule. Angel Sevillano and Hugo Galeano, who gets the start, along with Brian Aragon and Misael Gonzalez. Cesar Marquez, Diego Duenas, Sean Callahan, and the final 2 in the order are Nathan Giles and Garrett Eicherman. That's the starting 11 for Fullerton College. Right-hand side, Drop down, taken over by Santa Barbara City only for a moment. Galeana fighting with it. Gets away from Aragon, and Santa Barbara oh so close to turning it over, but they'll get it back. They try and play through Charles Retzer. Retzer, as we mentioned, the star for Santa Barbara City. He leads them in goals, leads them in assists, and he gets fouled. Marco Rotundo, he's the goalkeeper who's starting for Santa Barbara City College. He's joined by Aiden Tapia Palacios with Gino Contreras as well, and Charles Retzer, Brandon Garcia de la Fuente with Arnav Rakit, in addition to Pedro Guillen, Sebastian Rodriguez, and Carl Weidenfield. A chance for Mesa gets away. You hear the oohs and ahs from the crowd because everyone has that anticipation that he's going to do something spectacular. But it gets away from him for a moment, and Rotundo was able to take over.
Yeah, Santa Barbara playing sloppy defense to start off, and you cannot allow this Hornet team to get multiple attempts as Misa's down low again, trying to get set up for that ball coming down through. Ball will stay with Santa Barbara as it goes out on the far side of the field.
So far side of the field, like Mark mentioned, Charles Retzer, 12 goals, 4 assists, 28 points. Next closest person was Brandon Garcia de la Fuente, 4 goals, 6 assists, and 14 points. Just half of what Retzer was able to give to Santa Barbara City College throughout the entirety of this season. Santa Barbara City is in their white uniforms with red numerals, no outlining. On the other side for Fullerton College, it's their home navy blues that we have seen throughout the entirety of Football Fridays on KBPK this season. But they continue with tradition, and they will keep with those navies as they have the white numerals as well. Ball goes out near side. Santa Barbara will take over. As the night progresses, we will give you updates on what's going on around the entire state of California and in the Southern California Regional as well.
And one of the things you'll see about Fullerton, everybody talks about their offense, but their offense is all about their defense. As Misa goes down the field, Ryan gets a shot in the back.
A little shove there for Misa. He ends up skying this one over towards the left. He asks for a deflection. Doesn't end up getting one, and it goes up and high. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting, Mark, because of how cold it is, you always see this, especially when we do Fullerton College football, not football, but football, is that the colder it gets, the more that the crowd decides to be on one side of the field. And that's what you kind of see here at Hal Scherbeck Field. You do have the visiting away side on the far side of the park, but a lot of the Santa Barbara fans are actually on the near side, in with the Fullerton College fans as well. So you're going to hear a lot of mixed reaction directly beneath us as fans cheer on both their Fullerton College Hornets and Santa Barbara City College Vaqueros.
Body heat, baby, body heat.
And you know what, Mark? This might be the only cold day that we have had broadcasting Fullerton College football this season.
And, here's my big question to you, Ryan. I mean, we know in football, the other sport, not this football, the colder the ball gets, the heavier it gets out there. Even though that's air, it becomes more dense. We'll see what happens as this game goes along.
Retzer fighting there with Giles. Giles ends up winning the battle, and he'll take it along the touchline. Giles looking around. He knows he has Retzer coming right behind him, and Retzer is able to catch up, but it gets poked over towards Angel Sevillano. Got to talk to Angel Sevillano during the coach's show this week, and we'll have more on that in just a little bit, but he is one of the special players for Fullerton College on that back line. Actually, talking about that back line, a lot has been made about the Fullerton back four for this Hornet squad. Mark, you and I have been talking about it all week. If the back line of Fullerton College is able to be good in this matchup, they are almost unbeatable.
Yeah, and I'm going to say in the tournament, if the back line is good. You look at that changing out of goalies in the net that they do, that is just fortified by the back line. As good as the goalie is, he's got to have those defenders that really make the shots difficult or easy as that save is.
Ball goes into the waiting arms of Marco Rotundo. The back line tonight is Nathan Giles, Angel Sevillano, Evan Yole, and they're joined by Garrett Eicherman. You look at a lot of those guys getting all conference selections as this one is slid away and a foul against Fullerton College and Galeana as Garcia de la Fuente was trying to move his way forward. Garcia de la Fuente, very Santa Barbara product, if you will. Native of Santa Barbara and went to high school in the area as well, as Galeana is going to bring it over to Diego Duenas. Duenas finds Eicherman, first team all-conference selection for Garrett Eicherman. Little chase there by Gino Contreras. Contreras off to the right to Angel Sevillano, and when we talked to him this week, Mark, about that back line, he says one thing that's really contributed to their success is just how much chemistry they have, not 1 through 4, but he says 1 through 7, 1 through 8. The guys who end up shuffling in on that back line who can substitute in have just as equal quality as those top 4 who end up getting the start. He says a lot of the chemistry that they're able to develop gives them that success later on in the season.
Well, and the other thing when you talk about chemistry, watch the way they pass the ball. They know where each other is going to be, and they know which foot you want the ball on. So I'm not going to pass it to your left if you're somebody that prefers to lead with your right foot. That's the thing that's impressive about the guys in the back and the team in general.
Retzer trying to get up to that one. Nathan Giles is going to be key in this matchup. He's going to go one-on-one against Retzer a lot on this left-hand side of the field. But for now, it's De La Fuente who's trying to take it over. Contreras will have to watch on as that's dropped down, moved over towards Duenas. Fullerton gets called for a foul. The whistle flies. Greg Aviles doesn't agree with it, but it's going to stay with Santa Barbara City College.
Oh, well, the slide itself to get the ball was basically ankle, so it was basically ball, but more ankle as the feet go up high, Ryan. That's why the foul's called.
You look at the resume of Santa Barbara City College. Mark, you and I were breaking this down earlier in the week, and actually the week before as well. Going into last week, Santa Barbara City College was looking at being a top, we'll say top 12-ish selection. This goes off of Contreras, and it's going to go out for a goal kick. But the last week doesn't end up playing out the way that they would like. They end up as the number 15 seed, having to travel over to Fullerton College. But it's not like this is a Santa Barbara team that is just sneaking in to the playoff. This is a team that has dominated other squads when they've played them.
Well, it is, but here's the thing, too, Ryan, that I think is interesting. I'd love to know how many night games they played.
And that's one thing that's interesting. You mentioned that, and actually at the half we're going to play the coaches show for everyone that we had during this week. Talked to Misao Gonzalez about that, and he said one thing that he had to do in preparation this season was start to become active during the day in the offseason around the time that these games are going to be played. He said you can't just get your body going at 6 to 7 p.m. out of nowhere. This is Giles right down the middle. He's looking for Misa, but it's popped into the air and finally poked away by Tapia Palacios. Tapia Palacios, nice job of keeping himself alive and aware of where the top scorer in the Orange Empire Conference is. Misa is going to have to watch this one, and it goes all the way off to the left of the goal, and Rotundo will take over. But going back to Misa's remarks, he mentioned if you don't get your body going and used to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 and 8, you're going to be sitting there towards the end of the season thinking, well, how come I feel sleepy? How come I feel tired? How come I feel like I want to take a nap? Because you're already used to winding down during the day at that time. He said one thing this team did very well in the offseason was have workouts around 5, 6, and 7 p.m. so their body clock could readjust and learn to be active at nighttime, as Fullerton has the opportunity to play at night at Hal Scherbeck Field.
Well, Ryan, and here's the other thing. I'm an old guy, so my eyes aren't that good anyway, but younger people don't necessarily have great eyesight. So it varies on the light retention that you get and the way the light bounces off the field. I asked you that question the other day. Ryan, how's the light fit this field? Does it bounce? Can that distract you if you're a soccer player? Darn right. I look up, here comes the ball. I lose it in the lights.
Free kick coming up. And to step to it will be Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez, high spinner off to the right of the box. It gets poked away by Yol, and Yol is able to clear it out for a second. Cesar Marquez sees it back to Eicherman, and Eicherman says, let's dump this away. Let's go Hornets is the chant from the crowd. They've got rally towels, which is a nice little touch here for everyone involved as they're able to get themselves into the game. Giveaways all over the place, along with free shirts as well. Off to the right, it is Contreras. Contreras has a little bit of a chance, and it's dumped away by Diego Duenas at the last moment. And that right there, Mark, is going to be the key for Santa Barbara. If they can get in past the wings on either side, they're going to be able to get a lot of offense going into the box.
Well, Retzer was all by himself on the left side of the field. He was alone. Everybody slid over to the left side. He's actually on the left side going down the field, but they slid to their left defensively, which is the right side. He was open by 20 yards. It would have been a run, and it would have been one-on-one against a defender. Missed opportunity for Santa Barbara on that play.
Simon Karikaburu on this right-hand side of your screen watching on, sees that go right over to Cesar Marquez. And Fullerton to this point has just not been able to establish themselves the way that we're used to. Here's Mario Floriano, drops it down to his knees, and he'll take it over and decide to work off to his right with Nathan Giles. Giles has a couple of goals this season and has a game winner as well. Here's Misa. Misa with a lot of open space to work with, but he's going to move over to his left foot. He thinks about a shot, scoops into his right. He's got a chance. A shot goes up and high. It's a goal kick, and he looks to the sky in disbelief. He just got under it, Mark, in what was an excellent run one-on-one.
Yeah, and the thing that's very interesting, I'm looking at trying to figure out what Santa Barbara's running defensively, Ryan. It looks like they've got two back. It looks like they're playing a 2-3. But they allow him a great deal of yardage. And for somebody who's as gifted as he is with the ball on his feet, I think you've got to come up and smack him in the face.
Mark, here's one thing he mentioned, because I asked him, what's your play style? What are you used to? And he said he describes himself as a traditional target man, almost turned right back over to him. And for those who don't understand what a target man is, especially in the United States, what is a target man in an offense?
I've never dealt with what you would call a target man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see usually is that guy who's up top, and it's essentially just get the ball into open space and target him play him into a run. Play him into the opportunity to get passes away for his teammates like this. It's more just get him the ball, allow him to run up the field, and decide where the point of attack is going to go. He's the target. You give it up to him and let him decide what the defense is going to give them.
Same thing Cypress did with Abigail Morales today. She ran the offense. She would go down the wings and then look for people across the middle. They gave her the ball. Sometimes it was 1 against 2, her against the world against Santiago Canyon.
Fullerton College, Santa Barbara, deadlocked at 0 as you see on your screen. It is the 3C2A State Regional Playoff, the Southern California section of things, as we are live here on KBPK. A free kick is coming up, and it's going to be played over to the right to Aragon. Aragon is going to float this into some space. There's a Hornet, but Rotundo says, I will take this over, and let's work this out quickly. Tries to get a counterattack working. Instead, it's taken away by the Hornets, and it is Evan Yole. Yole finds Hugo Galeana. Galeana right down the middle. He's got a chance. Here's Hayden Kenny. And that one gets deflected twice. Misa gets a shot away, and it's deflected, parried even into the corner, and Fullerton College will have a corner kick coming up.
And there was the guy that I talked about earlier, Hayden Kenny. I love the way Hayden plays. He's the Energizer Bunny. Misa's the speed burner, but he's the Energizer Bunny, and that's what you need to have on your team. Retzer is that for Santa Barbara. So we'll see what Retzer can do as we get their first corner of the night. And Fullerton, I find them very good with corner kicks.
They have been dangerous, at least so far this season. Sean Callahan looks like he's actually going to get an injury sub here in just a moment. No, I take that back. Excuse me. A regular substitution as Hayden Kenny gets an ovation from the crowd. Sean Callahan was the one who actually got the chance just a few moments ago. Here's a chance. This side of the post, it's Sevillano into the air, and it goes just over top of the frame. Angel Sevillano had the positioning there, just ends up on the top of his crown, and it goes out for a goal kick. So you mentioned the dangerous aspect of the Hornets there, Mark, and that's exactly where it pops into, as Sevillano has a chance to get the opening goal.
Yeah, and we'll see if Santa Barbara tries to keep widening up the field. So far, they're playing, to me, very middle down the field. They're not making that wide field, which allows the Hornets to play a very tight defensive game.
Here's Kenny. Kenny able to get it over to Galeana, and it gets floated over towards the right. Rotundo will have to take it, and he switches off back to Floriano. So both goalkeepers play catch there, and Floriano will take over. If you watch Floriano, Mario almost has a conversation with his back line as the entire game progresses. He's that floor general. He's going to be giving them the details on what he wants spacing-wise, what shape they need to take, when to attack, when to hold back. And yeah, that's usually what you're going to get communication-wise from most goalkeepers, but Floriano is a lot more vocal with it. He's having a lot of feedback and also giving it back to his guys directly in front of him.
Well, Ryan, you need that from your goalkeeper. If your tender doesn't tell you where you need to be, what you are missing, hey, you're letting somebody drop down in the corner all by themselves, and then that play works, whose fault is it? He is the quarterback defensively for the team. You need to go there, you need to go there, you need to push up further. And if he doesn't tell them that, like he's doing now, you're lost defensively. Where should I be?
We want to thank everyone who's joining us online, watching along on KBPK. Ryan Osborn, Mark Pavlovich, Corey Neyland. Our exceptional producer over to our left, Maddie. Camera guy Wesley over to our right as well. Both doing an excellent job here on a Saturday night in Fullerton where it is chilly. And both of these two teams are having to work with a ball that is a lot tougher to deal with, a lot more slick as well, because there was a little bit of condensation on the field prior to this matchup too. Into the air for Retzer. Retzer will bring it down, and it goes now to Seviano. Seviano, backspun floater over towards the far side of the field, but it is taken away by De La Fuente. De La Fuente with a lot of pace, and he finds a guy looking for Contreras, but Floriano is there. Floriano up to take away the angle mark. Otherwise, that's a dangerous attack.
Yeah, and here's one of the things you will see with the Hornets is they will bring up their defense people and they will cross midfield. So they're an attacking team with 10. They're not a team that sits back and says, okay, we got to make sure if you get a break that you're going to beat us. If you can beat them, shame on them. Congratulations to you. As you see, the defenders all walk up, and now they're down to the 30-yard line, Ryan.
And this is the chance for Fullerton to bring up Angel Seviano. He's one of the taller guys on the team. He's going to make a run towards the middle. Giles into the air. Seviano will see a foul committed by one of his teammates inside the box. So Santa Barbara will take over, and now, Mark, after the first 15 minutes of play, you didn't see Fullerton College taking over this game like we're used to. Santa Barbara was actually able to hold a lot of the time of possession. They broke up what Fullerton liked to do, midfield and up, but it's changing. You're seeing the momentum swing over to Fullerton College's side in the last 6-7 minutes of play.
Yeah, I think Fullerton just came in this game cautiously because this is a one and done. Let's be realistic, and as good as you are, if somebody gets a quick goal against you, mindset, Ryan, mindset. And I think they didn't start off with their normal game. Now they're feeling much more comfortable.
Slid away from two. Here's Marquez. Lots of choppy play in this one to this point, but it's now Misa in the middle. Misa looking for a guy. Here's Galeana, and that will be swung away and past the end line for a corner kick. So just utter chaos in midfield as that ball kind of pinballed its way between both Santa Barbara's midfield and Fullerton's midfield. It ends up with a corner kick. Fullerton has their second of this one, and they're going to bring up those taller guys as well.
And Ryan, look at the defenders. If you look at the fields, you can mark off where they're at. This is how deep they are into the offensive zone. So for Santa Barbara, if you're not looking to man up, if you're not worried about the guys that are standing around the 15, you're in trouble.
Headed out by Gino Contreras. Contreras back for everyone, and it goes now to Kenny, but it's intercepted by Yole. Yole will find the open guy in Galeana. Galeana looking over his options, surveying what he has, and he brings it to Diego Duenas. Duenas getting his third straight start, and he'll bring it to the middle where he finds Marquez only for a moment, and Seviano will have to slide that away with two. A pass into open space finds De La Fuente. De La Fuente wants to run, doesn't have the numbers he did earlier. Here's Retzer with the shot. He goes on goal. He's got a powerful right leg, Mark, but Floriano is there to make the save.
But that's one of the things you'll see from Santa Barbara. A lot of shots on goal, but not that magical shot that finds its way into the goal like this young man does.
Here's Misa. Misa loading up on his right foot, trying to get it back over to it. Here's a chance for it, but he gets that poked away at the last moment. Karikaburu is able to make that play there, Mark. And when you look at Simon Karikaburu out of Anchorage, Alaska, Western Oregon transfer, and this guy is able to go 1-for-1 against Misao Gonzalez and pokes that away.
Out of Anchorage, this is a warm night. It's summertime, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So he's feeling good right now. He's ready to play.
Here's Giles to the penalty marker. It's still inside the box. Will be kicked away by De La Fuente. De La Fuente brings it over to what we humorously call the 40-yard line, because it doesn't necessarily matter here when it comes to the game of football, but Hal Scherbeck Field dressed for both. So there is that opportunity to judge space and yardage. This goes now to Retzer. Retzer going against Giles, and Giles wins the one-on-one battle.
Retzer to the left, Retzer to the right, so you know what Santa Barbara is all based on. Wherever Retzer goes, that's our best opportunity to get a shot on goal. They need to have somebody that picks it up, that doesn't touch the ball that often, to have a chance against this Fullerton team tonight.
Alexis Tamayo and Evan Courtney are both going to enter, and taking a seat will be Diego Duenas and Brian Aragon. Yes, indeed, Brian Aragon. So that ball is going to stay with Santa Barbara City. Karikaburu on this left-hand side will drop it back, and he'll play it to a Vaquero. Right side of the offense, they can't get it over there successfully, but now on the cutback will be Retzer. Retzer gets it taken away by Galeana, and Galeana finds Hayden Kenny. Kenny says, hey, Galeana, you've got a lot of momentum to work with, but Ugo ends up sending that over to his left for Misa, but too far in front of him. The spin was taking the ball away from Misa as well, but Santa Barbara City College will take over on the touchline, far side.
And you can see Misa will go and look for the ball to the open space, not on his feet, but to the open space, usually to his left, because he likes to cut that direction. But Ryan, once he gets it, tell you what, he dances with a football. There's no doubt about it. He looks like he's tap dancing out there.
Another throw-in coming up for Santa Barbara, and it's interesting you mentioned that, Mark, because his footwork is one of his best aspects of his game. Now, he may not say so. He said one thing that he really enjoys using style-wise is that quickness of his, but I'd say that his footwork might be his best attribute because he's able to put himself in correct positions to correct runs because of how good his footwork is.
Yeah, and I think his footwork makes defenders overreact to what he's doing. And if you overreact, that gives him that half a step on you to the other direction. And that's why I like his footwork.
Santa Barbara right now watching on as that foul was committed far side of the park by De La Fuente. High looper right to the top of the box where it finds Misa for only a second. It is going to be a foul against Fullerton College. The whistle flies, and it will bring it back to Santa Barbara City.
Are you surprised no real shots on goal when you look at 25 minutes gone by Fullerton?
I am indeed, because you look at all the home games for Fullerton College, and in 3/4 of all the home games for the Hornets, they actually had a goal inside the first 10 minutes, at minimum of one. In 3 separate instances, they had 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and in one case, they had 3 goals in the first 15. If you're Fullerton College, this isn't necessarily how you thought the game was going to start off. And as of right now, sitting just about 20 minutes, we'll say 19-15 left until the end of the first half, it's not the offense that we thought would come from Fullerton to this point.
Yeah, and we do know they can drop 2 goals in the drop of a dime, but Santa Barbara's got to feel good right now.
Here's Galeana, left-hand side. He's looking for Misa. It goes off of Yol, and it hits the back of a defender there. Actually, it was Contreras. It hits the back of Contreras and goes right to Rotundo.
Yeah, and Ryan, here's the thing. I don't think that Santa Barbara's defense is the thing that I feel like Fullerton's out of whack while I'm watching this game tonight.
Yeah, doesn't look like they have that same cohesion, that same chemistry that we're used to. That back line is ready to go. We've seen them actually take away multiple chances, but the front, we'll say 6 guys for Fullerton aren't clicking at the current moment. Nathan Giles, who is the top toss-in guy for these Hornets, looking more for a deflection there, but doesn't get the one that he wants. Sevillano into the air. Misa can't catch up to it because he would have been in an offside position. It goes now to Nathan Giles. Giles wants to run on his right-hand side. Can he catch up to it? It goes off of Karikaburu, and it will go for a corner. So Fullerton College gets their 3rd of this matchup, and Evan Courtney's going to chase it down. And now for everyone Fullerton College-wise, they're all going to take that far post.
Yeah, and here's one of these. Really have to put pressure on the goalkeeper. I think the keeper for Santa Barbara really has not had a pressure shot put on him and is starting to feel comfortable at home for the Santa Barbara team.
Galeana. Little drop down. Now for Misa. Back to Galeana. He's going to float it. Goes to the top of the box. Goes just wide, and it goes past the hip of Hayden Kenny. Sevillano had a little pass to Hayden Kenny, and Kenny wasn't expecting that one to end up at his right hip. And it goes right past him for a goal kick.
Yeah, I thought Kenny thought it was going to be shot on goal and was looking for that rebound because he turned around and looked at the net very quickly and then realized it just went by him.
Here's Retzer on the counterattack. He's trying to get past 2. Sevillano is there, and they'll make it Yole. Yole with an excellent play as he's able to anticipate that point of attack and specifically the cutback there by Retzer. He does well, and he's able to cut that down. Evan Courtney looking to catch up to this one, but can't. Marquez trying to do the same, but isn't able to get there. Carl Weidenfield out of Hamburg, Germany. We'll see this one get called against Fullerton College.
And Retzer's still down, Ryan. If you go back to the far field, when he got tackled, it was all ankle. I think everybody on the Santa Barbara side thought they might see a card, didn't see anything, no stoppage in play. And Retzer is laid there during Ryan's 3-minute call here and is just starting to get up right now.
And for Retzer, as we mentioned, he is the star for them offensively. He leads them in goals and assists, or at least is top 2 in the team in assists as well. And if you're watching these student athletes, one thing you always want to wish on them is good health no matter what competition you see. Because you see a guy who's a star for a team like Retzer, and you don't want to see this injury happen for him. You want to be able to see both teams at the top of their health going and competing against one another.
Well, and here's the question. If Retzer goes, let's say he's hurt. We hope he's not. Who do you go to? Because if you go down the stat sheet,
it immediately
there's who?
It has to go to De La Fuente. De La Fuente so far this season has been the catalyst when you're talking about opening up space. Yes, Retzer is able to get over to things sprint-wise. He has cutbacks, an excellent shot as well. But De La Fuente is right behind him, too. 4 goals, 6 assists, and 14 points. In fact, with Retzer's goals, he's got 12 of them. 5 of them were assisted by De La Fuente. So if you're going to say there's got to be a secondary scoring option for Santa Barbara City College, you're going to look right to Garcia De La Fuente.
And you see Retzer, he's getting helped off the field. So, Ryan, the way it looks right now, unless they got that miracle spray on the sideline, and we know that they'll try and freeze things for soccer players because it could be a bone bruise or anything else. But the way he's going off the field does not look good for Santa Barbara.
Clock continues to wind down. 14:15 left to go in the first half. A drop ball is coming up. That time, of course, added on at the end of the first half of play. And once again, just an unfortunate happenstance to see someone like Retzer end up getting an injury here. He was about to make a run, cut back over to his right, and he is going to be attended to by the athletic training staff at Fullerton College, who is the best in the state of California. Swung over towards the middle. Spearing this one away is Sevillano. Now Hyde Shop to the far side of the park where it will be taken over and finally brought over to Aiden Tapia Palacios. Tapia Palacios watches on, goes past Rakit, and it will end up with Fullerton, but only for a moment. Vaqueros retake over with Tapia Palacios. Contreras trying to spin one right behind him. Doesn't connect, but now Fullerton, if they hurry, has numbers. Little collision there, doesn't work, and Tamayo will have to go back and take over. Now Yole. Make it Evan Courtney. Cesar Marquez back to Courtney. Nice job there. Simon Karikaburu, as we mentioned, the 6-foot sophomore out of Alaska.
2 balls on the field, so we're going to stop play with 12:41. So we will have stoppage time in this first half because of the unfortunate tackle and the player off the field. They're putting him on the cart. Boy, howdy. If you're Santa Barbara, you don't want to see this. Someone needs to step up for Santa Barbara in this game now, Ryan. And it's, you know, you look down the sheet and you go, who's going to be the miracle person?
You're looking at it. If I had to point out one guy who you can watch to get a lot more chances in this one, it will be Gino Contreras. Started 9 games, not including tonight, 10 games overall, 3 goals, 1 assist, 7 points, but he has looked dangerous in the first half. He has had a couple of opportunities on runs to get the ball moving forward. Hugo Galeano on the corner. Little floater towards the penalty marker, drop down to Misa. A swung shot by Courtney, but it's blocked away, and the deflection is going to take it all the way back for a Fullerton throw-in.
Nice defensive play, nice way to play, and this is where you're Santa Barbara now. You're going to have to pack defensively when they come down. You're not going to let Misa get on that open. If he does and it's a one-on-one run, that will be to the advantage of Fullerton. We'll see if Fullerton changes things up. We've got technically 11 minutes to go in this half. With stoppage time, you add on to that. We'll see if they can make a run before this first half ends.
Kenny off one deflection. Thought he had Misa behind him, but it floats away from him. Rakit will bring it back. And you're going to have Santa Barbara taking over with Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez, the right footer, is going to wait for his teammate, Arnav Rakit, to go to the top of the box on the left-hand side. Rodriguez, little line drive, intercepted by the Hornets. It will have to go back to this near side to Garcia de la Fuente. Brandon looking to get past 2. Little hip check and angle away by Nathan Giles. And Hayden Kenny will see this one go off of the Vaqueros and out. Evan Courtney. Pop up into the air. Off the back of Hayden Kenny, but he possesses. It goes now to Misa. Misa on the drop. Misa, little floater. It's going to just go wide.
Hayden Kenny could not have dropped a balloon from an airplane and put it in a better spot. And when Misa flips it up over the goalie, Ryan, if it takes a straight bounce because of the spin put on the ball, it's a goal.
And that's the thing, Mark. It was spinning to the left. It had a rotation to it, and that's what takes it away from being a Fullerton College opening marker because it hit the floor. And here's what's even more important. The resurfacing of Hal Scherbeck Field with a thicker carpet allows for it to catch a lot more and send it over to the left.
And like you said, you felt a little moisture where you're walking on the field, so the ball, if it hits, it slides for a second before it catches a rotation, will continue the direction it was kicked.
So Misael Gonzalez so close to opening this one up to start, and Hugo Galeana and Evan Courtney are both going to take a seat. Sean Callahan and Diego Duenas will both re-enter. As taking a seat will be Carl Weidenfeld on the far side of the pitch. And Yair Vasquez is going to enter for him. So Yair Vasquez We'll watch, Sean. That's a lot of contact with Haru Ito. And Ito's the one who ended up entering for Retzer on the far side of the pitch.
A lot of physical contact. They're letting him play tonight.
Which is something that you appreciate in the playoffs, because you would rather that than something where the officials say, I'm going to insert myself into this matchup and make the teams have to wait for my decision to see who's going to win this game. Instead, they're just saying both teams can figure it out. And if it crosses any lines, that's where the official will step in. But they've managed this one very well so far.
Yeah, I think the referee's been excellent.
8 minutes on the clock left in the first half of play without additional time. Don't forget, we are going to recapture a couple of the minutes because of an injury that took place just about 10 minutes prior. Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City still deadlocked at 0 apiece here in the first half. It goes now to Misa. Misa is going to get double teamed. It gets checked away from him. Does it go off of him and out? It does. And it will be a takeover by Rotundo. We'll have some halftime words from Greg Aviles coming into the second half of play, as Contreras will take a seat. And coming in for him will be Liam Donker. So Donker, the 5'7" freshman out of Borash, Sweden. Lots of contact. And Fullerton is going to decide to try and play to Misa. Double team there. Here's Hayden Kenny over towards the left. He tries to find Misa. They have a lot of chemistry going in between both of them. Sean Callahan off the chest. He's able to take control. Advantage Fullerton, but they will play it all the way back. Callahan. Lots of backspin on that one. Goes to Giles. Giles will have it go off of Karikaburu, and it will go out.
This is normally, too, where you see Fullerton makes a run going into the last 5 minutes of the first half so that they have momentum that rolls over into the second half. You've seen a lot of these games, Ryan, that this is where they'll get one.
Eicherman tried to play it right off the volley, but just wasn't able to get there. Here's Hayden Kenny off the deflection, and Rotundo makes his second save of this one. And Karikaburu with a little bit of contact with Hayden Kenny afterwards. He's checked on by the official.
Well, it was head-to-head. When Kenny turns his head, they're both there thinking they're going for it. So they met head-to-head. A very clean play, but that's what happened.
Here's Joel. Joel's going to chase after it. Does it go out? Just does cross the line. Santa Barbara was actually hoping that that one would stay in. Ito with a great awareness play there, Mark, as he gets over to the ball and prevents that from what he thought going across the line. Everyone for Fullerton had stopped there, but the official says that it goes across and it will be a throw-in for Fullerton. Taken away. Here's Sean Callahan. He finds Misa in stride. He tries to check it back in behind him. No foul call there. The crowd from Fullerton College not necessarily happy with the non-call, but nonetheless, Santa Barbara with an excellent job to this point of shutting down that Fullerton College offense. Misa would have been offsides, and it's brought back by Rotundo.
I think a good non-call.
I agree with you.
When I look at it.
There was a lot of contact there, but I don't think it was contact that prevented him from moving forward. I think it was contact where it was just incidental between two different guys who were working against their own momentum. Yoel on the takeaway. Nice spinner there, but it deflects off of his own teammate in Duenas and goes back the other way. Sean Callahan turns the ball over. Goes to Garcia de la Fuente, who is asking for it. And it will find its way back to him. These teams, neither has decided that they want to keep possession of the ball until now. Sean Callahan on the takeaway. Callahan gets it right back from Misa. Callahan tries to center it right down the middle, and it will be slid and deflected out. Mark, Karikaburu has been sensational on this left-hand side of the defense.
Yeah, I really do. I think he's been the savior more than once. And the way they're playing Misa high and low, so they're playing on top of him and they're playing below him. They're actually double teaming, but it's a loose double team. So if it goes on top, I've got a defender there. If it goes down low, I've got a defender there. And I'm taking his drive towards the goal away from him. Misa probably needs to come a little more to the outside and get a natural pick, which you can see in soccer.
Corner kick coming up for Fullerton. It is their 4th of this matchup, and this time it will be Brian Aragon, I believe, who will walk over to take it. Make that Cesar Marquez. Marquez, little tapper, back to Garrett Eicherman, and it goes past Marquez and out. So it will end up being a throw-in now for Santa Barbara City College.
And what that is that's a misstep. So you play it back, you put it on somebody's left foot, and actually when the cleats get caught, Ryan, you can't make a shot. And that's what happened. 2:44 to go. We'll add on a little stoppage time because we had a couple players down in this first half. So I'm going to say we've probably got about 5 minutes left in this first half here on KBPK.
Clock here at Hal Scherbeck Field will stop as soon as they get to 2 minutes in total left in this first half. Rotundo will backpedal on it, and he will send it with the left foot back over to midfield. Currently offsides for Santa Barbara is going to end up being Garcia de la Fuente, so he gets called, and it will reset for the Hornets. Here's Sevillano. Sevillano sees Misa. He's into a double team, and it will end up being a goal kick. So if you're looking at it, again, they try and go over to Misael Gonzalez, but Santa Barbara City has decided to play almost this type of trap, if you will, Mark, because they're letting him be alone for a long time until that's released, and then they bring an extra guy from the back line saying, hey, if we get beat over to our left, it's fine. But we can't get beat by Misael Gonzalez.
Yeah, can't get beat over the top, and that's why they do the high-low defensive setup with Misa. They'll let him go to the left or the right. They just won't let him go straight back, Ryan, which he likes to do on that first step.
Here's Alexis Tamayo. Tamayo has it taken away from him, though. Doncor trying to get over to it. It will go now to Eicherman. Eicherman sees this off to the left to Ruben Rivera. Rivera on the cutback, turning around, still with possession, gets past 2 different guys, keeps it for a second, is still in possession, and he gets away from 3, but just couldn't get past the 4th guy. And finally, Santa Barbara takes it away. Garcia de la Fuente with an excellent play to get himself away from 2, and it will be taken by the Fullerton back line. Lots of anticipation from either side. So this will go now to Rivera. Rivera finds Misa. Misa with the step. Misa takes a shot, just goes wide again. He has 3 shots, and all 3 have gone wide of the frame. Fullerton with 2 shots overall. Santa Barbara with 3.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. He's off just a little. And as you notice, Santa Barbara's letting him take the wing shot and hoping that he misses, Ryan. So they're playing him loosely. They're going to force him to the outside and say, go ahead, take that 20-yard shot from the outside. Misa would love to take that shot from the middle because he'd have the whole goal to play with.
Here's Misa with it once more. He gets away from 2, still has it, left side of the box. He's still on his feet, gets a pass away down the middle, and it will be a corner for Fullerton in just a moment. Fullerton will get their 5th corner of this matchup. And it's just wild to see how both these 2 teams aren't able to possess the ball fully, but are still able to, we'll say, have a semblance of what they want to do.
Yeah, and Misa was triple teamed on that play, too. For him to get where he got, he's in the middle. We'll see if he goes up and gets it. Goalie comes out, makes a great stop on it.
That was Rotundo who came out and did a double punch away to get that far from his box. Garcia de la Fuente tries to get a run on the right-hand side. It's deflected away twice. Eicherman is going to have to deal with it now as it goes over his shoulder. It will go now to Ito. Ito just can't catch up to it in time, and the Hornets aren't able to continue. Here's Rodriguez. Rodriguez trying to turn around, but he gets that taken away. Misael Gonzalez, he's got a 1-on-2 and has to hurry. Moves to his right foot, wants to find a teammate, and does. Here's Rivera. Rivera offsides Kyle Sherman. It's the correct decision there, Mark, because Sherman was just about we'll say a hip length offsides.
Yeah, and you saw Misa, all of a sudden he had 3 defenders, and so what's he do? He drops it off to a teammate because Ryan, he can't make the run against the 3, and he knows that. Tried to set up somebody, looking for somebody to launch it. He may get that rebound, and if he does, then it's a one-on-one for him.
Additional time in the first half between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City as they continue to be deadlocked at 0. Advantage now to Santa Barbara City College, but the whistle will end up going to bring us to the half. A no score between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City as we go to the half mark. You and I have talked about it at length to this point. Neither team able to do what they want, but to this point, Fullerton with time of possession.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because Santa Barbara's sitting where they want to sit. They wanted to make this game a half, not a whole game. They've achieved that here in the first half. They walk away at 0-0, and Ryan, now it's 45 minutes, not a 90-minute slugfest. If I'm Santa Barbara, I'm happy as heck.
As we go to the half, we are going to give you this week's Coaches Show, which was on Fullerton College football. We're actually going to start things not from the very beginning, Mark, but we're going to get you right to the athlete interviews. As we do that, a quick reminder, our score is 0-0 between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City. You are watching the 3C2A Southern Regional Playoff here on KBPK. So we're here with the goalkeepers here at Fullerton College. Guys, when you look at this season, your guys' group has been one of the most interesting across the entire state. It seems like no matter who's playing, you guys keep a lot of quality, and that's shown in the stats. When you look at Orange Empire Conference play, how difficult was it to go up against opponents who you're going to see twice in a row?
It was pretty hard, yeah. Honestly, yeah, it's hard.
When you look at the Orange Empire Conference, is there one team that you guys looked at and said, okay, these were the toughest 2 matchups that we had to play?
I feel like everyone was equal. We couldn't really underestimate anybody. We had to prepare for everybody equally the same, but we trusted the staff, everybody, and we just improved every single day.
When you mention that improvement, I see both of you guys have very different styles when it comes to communicating with your back line. I know for yourself, at least from what I've observed, a lot more vocal, a lot of talking to that back line, almost a conversation, if you will. Is that something that you learned as you came up in the goalkeeping position from the younger levels?
I believe so. I also believe I learned that as well from the coaches, from Coach Greg, Coach Kenny. They also helped me be able to develop that as well, and I was able to improve that into my game.
When I switch it over to you, I see a lot of reflexes, a lot of different angles that you're able to choose, and then also use that athleticism to your advantage. How did you develop your goalkeeping style?
For me, just putting in the work, I like focusing on my mobility to see since I am a shorter keeper, I want to make sure that I could focus on my strengths so I could apply in the field.
When you mentioned those strengths, what would you say is your biggest strength when you're out there?
I think just the passion for the game, just wanting to give it all every time out there.
When I look at the Hornets, I see you guys as obviously top 2 team in the state of California. But do you guys as student athletes even pay attention to those rankings?
I don't really think we do. We mainly focus on what we have present. We don't really focus on okay, you know what, let's make it top 1, let's make it top 2. No, we just focus on ourselves. It's about us. At the end of the day, we don't care about what everyone else thinks. It's about us, about not only us just becoming better soccer players, but also becoming men at the end of the day.
You mentioned becoming men at the end of the day. That's one thing that Greg Aviles has always talked to us here on the Coaches Show. He's not just worried about your guys' football careers, but he's also worried about you guys overall as men, academics as well. How does he help you guys kind of go from that transition of, hey, high school person to well-developed athlete going into society?
I think he does a good well with that because he pretty much makes everything into like a life setting, like puts almost like life perspective, making it seem like, you know, this can happen in life. Yes, this happens in soccer, but this also occurs in life. And he also does something that I personally like very much. He does Monday Bible studies, and I think that helps us a lot. And not only does it help us individually, but it also helps the whole team as a whole as well.
Jonathan, when I bring it over to you, what was it about Fullerton College that kind of attracted you to the program?
Honestly, it would be the goalkeeper coach, Mike Bautista. That was the reason I'm here. He brought me here from South Central to right here.
I mean, when you mention Mike Bautista, is there one thing that you look at and you say, okay, this is one thing he's worked on with me at the start of the season, and now looking back, I can see those results?
I think his biggest aspect in his training is just be a better person. Like, just be a good human being. And that's the most important thing there is.
Now, when I look at the goalkeeping position, you know, you guys get the most equipment, most style, if you will, of anyone on the team. Now, when I look at both of your guys' gloves, how do you choose what you want in terms of gloves? Because to me, as a fan, all I see is just a couple of pairs of mitts. But I know gloves are a reflection of the personality of a goalkeeper. So how do you guys choose that?
Honestly, I think it just matters like how well it fits with you. Like if it's too tight for me, I don't think I can wear that. If it feels kind of too loose, it has to feel just right. Like almost feel like, you know, I feel comfortable in this. Like I feel good with myself in this. And also you have to look good in it as well. That's another thing too.
Now, a few moments ago, I asked Misa who has the best looking boots on the team. So I gotta hear from you guys.
Honestly, probably Pedro. He got the white ones, the all white Adidas. I think those ones are the nicest ones. Yeah. Pedro,
I say Pedro too, yeah.
Guys, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday. Good luck on Saturday. And we look forward to seeing you in the round after.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We're with Angel Sevillano. Angel, when you look at the captaincy band, obviously in the game of football, it's a big deal. But when you look at the Hornets, what does that feeling of putting the armband feel like for you?
Well, for me, it's a big responsibility. Also, I know like the captains that they've wear this band before me, and I have a lot of respect for them. C.J. Wood, Stevie Perez, Cooper Clark, the three guys before me, they were great captains, and they kind of build a culture that we're trying to keep nowadays, and it's kind of showing with the results and everything we're trying to get right now. So I think it's a big responsibility, and it's showing that the culture that they established, we're trying to keep it this year. So.
You mentioned Cooper last year. We got to talk to him when he himself was wearing that armband. Was there anything that you looked towards last year's team to help you understand your leadership style?
Well, last year I didn't really see it that way, but this year I had a lot of communication with Cooper. He's been talking to me like a lot, trying to help me in all this process because he knows how it is to be a captain also. And sometimes when I felt it was getting a little harder, he was also always like trying to check on me and make sure everything was fine. So for me, Cooper is a role model in that aspect, and he's been great help for me this year.
When you look at your high school career, lots of success there. You bring it over to Fullerton College. Obviously, you guys are having a lot of success this year. But when you look at the last 2 years that you've been with Fullerton College, how are you going to look back on your time here at Fullerton?
Well, I'm gonna be really proud, to be honest. Like when I came from high school, as you said, I only played 1 year high school. So coming from high school, I didn't expect it. All these things that are happening to us, like my high school team, I really liked it, but we didn't make it to CIF, or we weren't that good in league or anything. So this is special for me. I was telling to some of the guys that this is not normal, like to have a team #1 in rankings for so long. And so I think it's special, and once a Hornet, always a Hornet. So I think I'm gonna remember it with great memories and really good stuff, yeah.
Is there any memory for you on the pitch that is going to stick out?
I'm gonna need to say last year's IBC game at IBC. It was raining. It was like it was the last game. If we win that game, we were gonna win league. So I had the chance to score a header after coming from a concussion. So I'm winning the league at IBC with all the teammates and all the memories we had. For me, that was a great game, and I'm gonna take it with me.
You talk about winning league. This year you guys do it again, back-to-back conference champions in the Orange Empire Conference. And you had a hand in that too. You look at that game. What was it like to be able to go with your teammates, look at that banner up there, and say, hey, I was a part of both these two teams?
Well, I'm super proud about it. I'm really happy to have been able to share the pitch with these players both years. I think we had great two teams, and obviously what we're showing it this year and also last year, I think we had a really strong team that was able to compete for state, and I think we have a similar. It's similar this year. I think we also have a team that could compete for state, so I'm excited to keep going and see how far we can get.
The back line for you guys, doesn't matter who you guys put in. It's always strong. You look at guys like Garrett, like Nathan, like yourself, Evan, Aldo. What's it like being a part of a unit like that a lot of people look at and say is the best in the state of California?
Well, I think it gives us a lot of confidence when we step on the field. I think we already know we're like a solid team, and the way we practice every day, the way our coaches make us do the stuff like get ready and prepare for the games, I think is what gives us that extra confidence, and we try to show it like, oh, we're like the line, whoever is playing, like doesn't matter who plays. We know that we're gonna try to do a good job, and we're gonna give everything to keep our goal like without conceding goals against. So it doesn't matter who plays. We know we are all ready, and we have full confidence on whoever steps on the field.
Now, you talk about being ready. Before we get to Saturday, I talked with Misa, talked with Jonathan, talked with Mario, said who's got the best looking boots on the team? So I got to hear from you.
There's some guys like Misa and Perjo, they had new Adidas I really like, but Gael was showing, he was wearing some Messi boots today. I think those are the best right now. So.
Are you a Messi fan?
I like Messi. I'm a Ronaldo fan, but I have a lot of respect for both of them. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Can't wait
you.
to see you on Saturday.
Thank you.
I'm being joined by Misa. And Misa, when you take a look at the end of the season, you know, you guys got your first conference loss. A lot of people thought you would go undefeated in conference because you had such a good stretch, but you get the rebound win to end the season. How do you take that momentum from that win and bring it into the postseason?
I mean, we just had to get that loss, I feel like, because we were we're on a very high momentum, so we just felt like we were unstoppable. But I feel like that just helped us, like a checkpoint to realize that we aren't who we think we are, and we have to prove it each game. So moving on, I feel like we'll keep that in mind so we won't feel that way.
When you look at the Orange Empire Conference, a lot of people look at the OEC and say that's the toughest conference in the nation. How was the last 2 years of OEC play like for you?
It's very competitive, I'd say. Freshman year, I struggled more, less experience, but I feel like this year I picked it up much more, and it's been very successful as a team.
When you look at your play style, a lot of times we'll see guys like Angel or Evan who just toss the ball up to you. It's your job to go and get it and distribute, or at least create the different openings on offense. Is that your play style that they're kind of leaving it up to?
I mean, so far, I feel like I've been like a target man, I'd say. But more recently, teams have been like double teaming or doing a different tactics to like man mark me, I say. So we're trying to like build around it and try to include more attacking players, so I won't be the only one like getting focused on.
When you mention that, a lot of times in community college, you don't see a true target man, a true 9, a true 10, all those three different guys who have different play styles, have different styles as well overall. What's it like being, like you mentioned, a target man in a community college level, which usually isn't used to seeing guys like that?
I mean, it just makes me realize I'm a special player, I'd say. But, I mean, it's hard to play out of because, I mean, you're obviously not used to it. But just try to do my best each game and try to play around it as much as I can.
With the captaincy, you and Angel both get to wear that armband. What's it like to know that you are given that leadership position on this team?
It feels great. I mean, I wanted to be captain since last year, so I knew this year was a big opportunity to step up and take the armband, and luckily coaches let me have it.
You're looking at postseason coming up on Saturday night. How do you prepare for a postseason matchup?
Throughout the week, I feel like this week I've been preparing differently than I have any other games, just mentally, physically on the field. And at home, stretching, eating good, preparing myself. And since we have a night game, usually around 7, around that time, I just start getting like a workout in to prepare my body to be active at like 7 p.m., around that time.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because when you look at different athletes across not just the OEC but also California. They're used to playing 12 o'clock, 3 p.m. games, but you guys have a lot of 6 p.m. home games. Is that something where you looked at the schedule before the season and said, I got to get my body in a clock where it's used to being active at that time?
Yeah, definitely, because around 4 or 5 p.m. I'm already like a little sleepy. And
just a few moments ago, you heard Misao Gonzalez as he was kind of working his way through our interview on the Coaches Show. But before we get to the second half, our own Matty Smith had the opportunity to talk to Coach Greg Aviles on what he thought his team was doing in that first half and what they look forward to in the second half.
This is Maddie Smith on KBPK, and I'm here with Greg Aviles, the Fullerton men's soccer coach. So, Coach, what worked well for you in this first half?
I think keeping our composure and moving the ball around well and just starting to find our looks. I think the guys have showed great energy moving the ball. Some things that we can do a little bit better and playing a little cleaner, but we'll definitely make some adjustments.
Were there any surprises from the other team in this last half?
No, I think we knew that they were going to come out in the playoff game. Obviously, everything's on the line, and that they were going to come out and bring a lot of pressure, which is what we already knew that they were going to do. But it's just a matter of us just kind of cleaning up our opportunities.
What can we do in the second half that can ensure a victory?
Just keep playing our game and being true to who we are.
Thank you so much, Coach. We wish you good luck. This is Maddie Smith on KBPK.
Back here for the second half. Just a few moments ago, you heard from our own producer, Maddie Smith, as she talked to Coach Greg Aviles about what his team did in the first half, what they're looking forward to in the second half. And Mark, you just heard it from Greg Aviles a few seconds ago. Greg Aviles, his team did well, but they didn't do great as we're used to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And of course, you know, if you listen to our camera person, Corey Neyland, who I've just realized he knows nothing about soccer. He had to score 2-0 Fullerton. I said, where? Well, let's shot. I said, no, they weren't. Ryan, I'm just very surprised that we have not seen the quality that you've seen all year being the voice for Fullerton College soccer.
Yeah, and for Fullerton, their offense didn't look as we are used to. They didn't look as cohesive as we are used to. But the way that this Fullerton offense thrives is that you look at this team and say all they need is a simple counterattack. They don't need a lot of time to be able to establish anything. A quick counter, and they're right in this game. So the question is, how do you establish time of possession and balance it with an attack, Mark?
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. I'm going to look at Santa Barbara for a second. Santa Barbara came out winning that first half by not allowing Fullerton to do what they normally do. I think Hayden Kenny needs to get more involved on the attack. I think they need to free up Misa because they're not freeing up Misa. Let's be very realistic.
Here's Courtney to Kenny and just wide. So just a few seconds ago, Mark, as the words were leaving your mouth, Fullerton College goes Misa, Courtney, Kenny, and the shot goes wide. But exactly what you're saying is free them up, give them open space to work with, and they can decide what style offense they want to play.
Yeah, and if you free up Misa by giving the ball to other people, especially like Hayden, I love the way Hayden plays this game, Misa is going to be in the right place at the right time.
Here's Galliana. Galliana kind of towing the ball over towards his left. He's got Courtney. Courtney still with it. Santa Barbara asking for that ball to be out. It does not do so, and it will be taken away and moved up by Aiden Tapia Palacios. Tapia Palacios looking to the far side. He's got one guy in Rakit. Rakit now with Garcia de la Fuente. Garcia de la Fuente down the middle. He finds Tapia Palacios for a second. On the turn, it goes to Lovgren. But Lovgren sees that ball taken from him. excuse me, rather than Lovgren, that was actually Carl Weidenfeld. Weidenfeld. We'll see the Hornets take it.
And I think the big thing here too, Ryan, is I think the Hornets now need to find a goal just so this shutout that's going against them right now gets out of their mind. Because once they taste ice cream, they eat a banana split.
You got the one in.
Yeah.
See, I thought you were going to go more the route of the excellent burritos we just had.
Oh, yeah, they were. Mom's. Oh, Mom's is great. If you ever get a chance to come out to the game and you see the truck out here and it says Mom's on it, if you don't get something to eat, you're out of your mind. That's all I could say.
42-10 on the clock as Fullerton College and Santa Barbara are playing to a scoreless tie at the current moment. One team has to win, plain and simple. Hayden Kenny back over to Misa. Ball nearly turned over. Misa is going to take it away. Misa has an opportunity. It's a 2-on-0 if he hurries. Misa, goal! Misael Gonzalez, all he needs is one opportunity to get the ball, and the high pressure for the Hornets converts on the opening marker.
And again, it was Hayden Kenny and Misa on the play. You drop it off to Hayden. Hayden gives it back to Misa. The defender then slips a little. Hey, that happens in any game. And Misa, once he gets the one-on-one, nobody's going to touch him.
And you saw that, Mark. One thing that is very underrated about that chance for Misa is the fact that he fakes the shot initially, gets the goaltender in Rotundo to commit to it, drops down early, and he's able to get right past him for the goal.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper came out high because he thought Misa was going to beat his man. He was going to take him on. There's very few goalkeepers that can play one-on-one against an offensive player like Misa.
To the right, it goes now to Ito. Here's a counter by Santa Barbara. Now Ito, left-footed. He takes a shot. He's got it! What a goal by Ito! You want to talk about a crack. Haru Ito, 6-foot freshman out of Japan, and he ties it up at 0. Or excuse me, at 1.
At 1. And Ryan, what he does is he goes down. He realizes he's going to lose the ball. He resets himself and then decides, I'm going to let it go. He caught our goalie flat-footed. And that's, even though it was high, I don't think it could have been blocked anyway. But that's what he did. And you know what? As much as I thought Fullerton was off and running, the Vaqueros just shocked me back into reality.
Well, Mark, you were talking about it for the Vaqueros side. They had to find some sort of offense, secondary-wise, as this goes out and it's going to be a toss-in for Santa Barbara. Haru Ito, incredible what he just did. It's his first goal of the season, his first collegiate goal, and what a way and time to contribute that opening marker.
Yeah, and this is the thing now, if you're Fullerton, you really need to start to press because as much as Santa Barbara won that first half by 0-0, you get that goal by Misa and you say, we're off and running. And within 15 seconds, the game is tied.
And you start with that lead pass as this goes right down the middle of the park, turned over, back to the Hornets it will go. But you start with the initial lead pass to continue the run. Ito gets to it, then crosses back over to his middle. Mark, it looked like the play was dead. He gets an excellent strike off that left foot, top right-hand corner. Not much that Jonathan Ortiz could do about that shot. And it ends up going in for the equalizer. So the 49th minute for Misael Gonzalez. He scores to make it 1-0. And Haru Ito in the 50th, just about 45 seconds later. Now to Eicherman. Eicherman. Now to Yoel. Yoel all the way back to Saviano. Mark, you and I, and everyone else in the booth and outside the booth, almost lulled to sleep in that first half because of the amount of turnovers and takeaways and we'll say discombobulation of offenses between both sides. But here in the second half, an explosive start.
Yeah, I mean, 2 quick goals, and all of a sudden it picked up the energy on the field, Ryan. I mean, that's the thing you look at now, the amount of energy on the field as a player goes down hard and hits his head. And what it is, Ryan, realize with this artificial turf, you go down, the head bounces when you hit. And that's what you get. You're going to get him to walk to the sidelines.
Haruito just getting checked out by Lorena on this near side of the field. She wants to make sure that he's okay. Officials giving them time as well. And again, 1-1 is our score. Goals scored just about 45 seconds of gameplay apart. And it's a 1-1 draw.
She said to Ito, hey, if you shake your head and you hear something rattling, I'd be in a lot of trouble right now because I'd do this and I'd say there's a couple marbles. She's going to take a walk with him and see how he's doing. And again, Ryan Osborn, the best athletic trainers, a trio of co-head trainers are the best in the state of California here at Fullerton College.
1-1 is our score between Fullerton and Santa Barbara City. Misa on the run, another chance, pokes, goal. Fullerton has taken the lead, and it's just that quickly we go from no offense to all-out attack from these two sides. Misael with 2. He continues to extend his markers, 26 on the season for Gonzalez.
Well, could you just say it's just Misa against the world? I mean, he's that sort of player.
I think when you get him the ball, that's what it is, but you have to start with that pass. That was an excellent ball placed into space that just took the perfect hop mark 5 feet in front of the defender and popped over top of him, and Gonzalez was able to step to it.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing, too. Goalie comes out thinking they're going to have a play on it. The ball gets by it. He's got the sweet touch of a soccer player that can drive it as far as you need him to drive it. The finesse of just being able to flip it up in the air and let it float like a butterfly. Anything you ask of him, he can do with those magical feet.
Santa Barbara wants to pressure. Misael Gonzalez in the 55th minute to make it 2-1. Now with a little lane here is Tapia Palacios, but it's checked away from him. Tapia Palacios. Now it's Sebastian Rodriguez. High into the air. Both teams watching as that floats over towards the far side touchline, and it will end up out.
And as we go back to our cameraman, Corey Neyland, we can say, Corey, now those were shots on goal, and that's how you score, not being 15 feet wide.
Diego Duenas enters for Cesar Marquez. Ruben Rivera is also going to take a seat as Brian Aragon enters for him. We see Evan Courtney actually take that back. Duenas will enter, Aragon as well, and taking a seat will be Rivera and Courtney as Marquez now takes over the left side of the offense. Marquez, double mark on that right-hand side for Misa. Hayden Kenny down the middle of the field. Here's Marquez in a foot race. Marquez trying to keep it back behind him. It goes as a corner kick coming up for the Hornets.
And this is where, if you're Santa Barbara, you cannot afford to let the game get away from you now. You're only down by 1. You saw how easy it was to tie it up. This is where Fullerton starts to stretch the lead.
Eicherman gets marked very quickly by Weidenfeld. Weidenfeld running over to it. Now down the middle of the park. Deflected away. Garcia de la Fuente takes possession and does so wisely and well. Is still able to keep it. And the Vaqueros can move out the park with it. Garcia de la Fuente, with a lot of work to be able to establish possession. And he does so successfully. So Mark, he clears it. He takes it away. He keeps it away from the Hornets and is able to draw a foul.
Yeah, and it was hands down on the hip where the shove came from. Almost a perfect pass from Santa Barbara. Ryan Osborn just looked at me and said, 1 foot shorter, this game is tied.
I don't think anyone thought that that was going to swing in as well as it did. This is going to go to Misa's left hip. Misa on the right to his foot. No call coming. They say nothing there. Misa trying to get back to it, gets possession. Here's Cesar Marquez. Marquez on the shot, and Rotundo is there.
And Misa turns around, tries to plead his case, and the referee just runs away from him. And I don't mind the non-calls, Ryan, because they have let a lot of physicality go on here on the pitch. And I don't think you can start now saying, why aren't you giving me the call?
There's a shot by Gonzalez that ends up high over to the left, and something you don't want to see if you're a Hornet fan for the moment being is Misao Gonzalez having a little trouble getting himself up after that shot.
Well, this is where you'll see a normal soccer player. You're going to get up and then watch him run 100 miles an hour down the field. And I think part of it with him going down is frustration. He didn't get the call by the referee. He unleashes his frustration with a rocket off goal and then sits there because then he can make a statement to the referee when he comes over and says, are you okay? He can turn around and say, yeah, I'm taking a beating out here. They're not going to give you a card on making that statement.
Marquez was trying to deflect that over to his left. Didn't have anyone, and it will be a throw-in for Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara City College, the Vaqueros back in the playoffs once more. They have traditionally been powers up in northern Southern California. This will go to Garcia de la Fuente. Garcia de la Fuente into traffic, finds Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez, excellent decision to play it back for a moment. Ito on the back heel, taken away. Hayden Kenny. Kenny now to Misa. Misa brings the studs all the way up and is able to trap it for a second, and the Hornets get it right back. Isao Gonzalez on the turn. There's a foul and a free kick coming up for Fullerton College. So, Mark, this is that perfect in-between spot here in community college where it's not quite enough to go on goal, but it's just a little too far inside to go for the header.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is one of the ones where you either drop it off to somebody short, they give it back to you because you step up 5 feet, or you float one in and see if somebody follows. And now they're going to man up defensively. And they build a wall, a 2-man wall in front of Misa.
Aragon takes the shot. Field goal is good, but it ends up being a goal kick coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where you go and look at that.
Mason Gorham is going to check in for Misao Gonzalez. So Gonzalez is going to get a little breather here. And Mark, if you are Santa Barbara City College, this is your chance to get back into this game over the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, because, well, and here's the thing. Don't fall asleep on Hayden Kenny if you're Santa Barbara, because now he will be the person that the ball will go through. And he is a quality soccer player. I know I sound like his fan club.
Right side, it goes to Weidenfeld. Weidenfeld trying to go towards the middle. The Hornets keep it from going out. Kind of a question mark as the official took a second. But it will be a throw-in now with Ito. Ito says, all right, I will slow things down. And he'll wait for a teammate to run on over. That's Pedro Guillen.
And we're going to get a substitution.
I believe that is Contreras coming back in, so he will take the place of Yair Vasquez. And Contreras will take his spot at the penalty marker. Here's Guillen. Guillen, a long toss right to the top of the box, and it is Sevillano who comes over to it and takes charge. Mason Gorham has played 3 different positions for Fullerton primarily this season. But this is a run on the right side to Brian Aragon. It's a 2-on-2 if he hurries. He's got down the middle to Kenny, who sends it wide.
Hayden, how could you do that to me?
And Mark, you had 2 opportunities there, because if Kenny goes for it, you have the frame in front of you. But if he also dummies it and lets Gorham take it on the left-hand side, there's another chance.
Yeah. Once again, the run was made.
Hayden Kenny trying to get his 6th goal of the season, just ends up missing on it. 5 goals, 7 assists, 17 points, and Alexis Tamayo will take over for him. Very different lineup now for the Hornets, with Misael Gonzalez taking a seat and Kenny as well. That front 2 unit for the Hornets now going towards a more midfield-oriented lineup for Fullerton College. Vaqueros trying to work fast, but they place the ball about 5 to 6 yards too far in front, and they'll have to reset.
And I think Misa and Kenny are sitting just for a second so you can make that last 5-minute run.
There's a penalty coming up for Santa Barbara. On the inside, being taken down, was Carl Weidenfeld, and that, Mark, I think that's the correct decision, because Weidenfeld was trying to get up into the air, and he gets yanked down and doesn't get the opportunity he would like.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ryan. I really do. I think it was somebody just being desperate to pull on somebody. The shot of the night.
So a chance, I believe Sebastian Rodriguez is going to take it. And it is, in fact, Sebastian Rodriguez going one-on-one against Jonathan Ortiz. Ortiz, so far this season, has not faced a penalty marker. Or at least that the stats show to this point. 26:05 on the clock. An excellent chance for the Vaqueros to even things up. An equalizer, no goal for the moment, but it's in. The second chance is good. And an excellent job there of following up the play, as it's a goal that is scored by Sebastian Rodriguez. He gets on the board, Mark, and only persistence gets him that equalizer.
Well, did you see him? Because he's going to hit that high flyer, and he knows it. And he waited to see if it was in or if the goalie could control it. When the goalie didn't, he didn't panic. He walked up and said, "You're going to give me the ball back again? I'll tell you what. I'll take 3 pieces of candy out of the bowl now and feel a lot happier." And if you're Fullerton right now, well, I need to see how quickly Hayden Kenny comes back on the field.
Marquez on the off foot. Can't get that one to connect to his teammate. Goes off of Eicherman. No, it actually will go off of Ito and out. Now to Marquez. Tries for Mason Gorham. Gorham taking it right to the corner. He decides to get past 2, gets taken down, and it will be a essentially corner kick coming up, as that's going to be in the left-hand side of the field, just, we'll say, 5 to 6 yards away from the stick. And this is an opportunity for the Hornets to get right back into it. So a 2-2 draw at the current moment, 25 minutes left to go in regulation time. It's Fullerton 2, Santa Barbara 2. The equalizer scored just a few moments ago on a penalty marker by Sebastian Rodriguez. Corner kick, essentially. It's a free kick. Set piece coming up for the Hornets. Bump towards the front side. Here's Marquez on the 2-hopper. Deflects away, and it takes a wicked hop there, Mark, but just doesn't end up on goal.
You know what's interesting, too, when you think about that penalty kick? Angel Diaz kept talking to the person who was going to get it. They finally had to walk Angel Diaz from Fullerton away from it. I think there was something going on in Santa Barbara's heads that they said, you know, if you want to yap at me, I'm going to tie the game, and that's exactly what happened.
So
Ryan, this is a dangerous game now for Fullerton College.
Yeah, and you look at the way that Fullerton College has won their matchups, they haven't had to work from behind too often this season. The last time I can think of personally that they've had to do so, obviously, the Cyprus game, where they end up getting their first conference loss of the season. But after that, the next instance in my mind that pops up is the game up north, where they ended up playing Richland. Into the air. Ortiz decides to punch it out himself and get it over to one of his teammates. 65th minute. There's some contact. A kick on goal goes away. Mason Gorham goes head-to-head contact, and you're starting to hear the fans get into it just a little bit more too, Mark.
Well, I think they're sitting out there in the cold air saying Ryan and Mark are a little nervous, and if they're nervous, we're not sure what's going to happen. And Ryan, here's the thing. As good as you are all year means absolutely nothing if you do not finish this game as a Hornet.
Dipped around, Eicherman. Contact with the knee, no call coming. Mason Gorham sees the advantage played, and now to Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara continues the run. They've got Ito on the right-hand side. He's still onside. He's going to walk it down towards the line, try and keep it in front of him, but a goal kick coming up.
Well, Hayden Kenny's getting ready to come back into the game. And Misa is getting ready to come back into the game.
So Misael Gonzalez will return with Hayden Kenny. Ugo Galeana is going to take a seat. Sean Callahan is in as well. As we get to the later stages of this game, we are in the 70th minute between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City. It's tied at 2. Santa Barbara has a chance to pull off the upset of the last 5 years in the Southern California Regional. Fullerton College, one of the favorites in this entire state playoff, especially with how good they were the entirety of the season to this point. Remember, Fullerton was #1 and ranked #1 for a very long time in California, all the way up until the final week of play when El Camino surpassed them.
Yeah, I mean, it's really to the point now that if you're Santa Barbara, you feel like, okay, we should be, we're even. And if somebody just said to you and I that Santa Barbara is going to score 2 goals against Fullerton, you and I would have thought, okay, yeah, in garbage time at the end of the game.
Fullerton has it deflect off of 2. They got lucky they didn't get called for a handball there. It goes off of Eicherman's arm, and it will stay for Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara starting to feel the momentum start to swing in this one.
And handballs do not get called. I brought it up in the women's game, and I've talked to too many referees. If it's inadvertent and gives you no advantage, they're not going to call a handball.
Cleared away. Misa timing off just a shade on that one, and it gets dropped all the way back. Back line of the Vaqueros will take over. Now it's brought up by Duenas, but the Hornets can't continue. Throwing for Fullerton College with Nathan Giles. Substitution coming up for Fullerton. So Ugo Galeana takes a seat a few seconds ago, but now he will be back on for Diego Duenas. So Coach Greg Avila sees something in the middle of the park that Galeana just has a little bit more, we'll say, tight fit to this matchup than Diego Duenas.
Well, here's your problem if you're a Santa Barbara fan. Santa Barbara's starting to feel like they can play against Fullerton.
Misa still with it. Misa down the middle, goes to the left-hand side. He's more looking for a teammate on that, but it ends up going just wide, and a throw-in coming up.
Yeah, he needed a cutter coming down the center to try and help him. But next time, Ryan, watch when Santa Barbara gets down the field against the Hornets offensively, as Misa's down there trying to stretch a little. They will drag their goalie out again too far. And this is where Misa's already taken advantage of it once. He comes out, he has to play one-on-one on his own against Misa Gonzalez. We know who's going to lose that match. And Santa Barbara needs to realize, hey, we need to play like we did in the first half as we have time out with a cramp on the field right now. So with 18:34 plus stoppage time to go, you look at this, and if you're Greg, I'm going to put you in Greg's shoes because you talk to him all the time. What are you trying to tell your team right now?
I think the number one thing that you are looking at your team and you're saying, hey, you know, our back line is keeping us in this matchup. It's midfield and up that has looked disjointed at times. they don't have, I mean, we've said it multiple times, they don't have that chemistry. Going back to our Fullerton College football game, so not football, but football, the one phrase that we always mention with that offense, I think can also be mirrored here. Can they find their rhythm? Because they have not found it in this one. And the more the music plays later on into this matchup and they can't find that rhythm, the more it gets ever more dangerous, because Santa Barbara has proven that they can go toe-to-toe with a counterattack.
Yeah, and realize, as much as we teased about the weather, Santa Barbara, cool. Cold weather should not bother this Santa Barbara team. The Hornets haven't had to play in this sort of atmosphere for a while.
And a lot of people think, okay, it's just the weather. These are student athletes who have dealt with a lot and they know how to play. But the thing is that the weather doesn't just affect how cold it is. It affects the difficulty of the ball, how you're able to trap it, as in that case right there, with Galeana having it go off of his boot and away. It causes precipitation since we had rain earlier today. The field isn't completely dry because there was no opportunity for it to dry, no sunshine for it to be able to take over that evaporation process, as Omar Ruiz just checks in for the Hornets as well. So you're looking at it from the ball is harder to deal with, harder to read. The field is harder to read, and you have to deal with the ball sliding as well. In addition to just overall having to play with the discomfort of maybe you came out here dressed in your usual no undershirt, no additional sleeves, no additional compression shorts, and now you're thinking to yourself in the back of your mind, hey, it's a little chilly. Well, that's one extra second that you take to think about that instead of thinking about what you're about to do.
Yeah, and all these thoughts work on both teams, but who does it work on more? So we don't want anybody to think we're making excuses for the Hornets. It can work on both these schools, but you could be that one team that it affects you less than it does on the other team.
Well, I'll also take this, Mark. I don't even think this is excuses for the Hornets. As we've mentioned, Santa Barbara, not only have they played in this type of weather, but they are very simply proving that they can have their own attack. That has nothing to do with the weather. That just has to do with the fact that Santa Barbara has decided that they are going to find their places to attack the Hornets, and they are doing so successfully. Hayden Kenny with the ball. He's looking to bring it over to his right, but he almost turns it over. And Brandon Garcia de la Fuente nearly takes that away, but they do get the takeaway after all. It's Ito off the foot of Rodriguez. Now dropped down over towards the middle. It goes off the hip of Seviano. A handball is called. As Mark, it goes back to what you were talking about. The handball doesn't get called unless it directly affects play, and it does there.
Yeah, and this is now, are you watching Ito on the field? Because Ito all of a sudden is acting like, I'm going to direct the traffic because their number one player is not out there, Ryan. Realize he went away early in that first half on an ankle injury. They're playing without their best player right now against the Hornets.
Yeah, Charles Retzer earlier ends up with an injury as he tries to cut it back and open the scoring on that left-hand side of the field. He ends up going out with an injury, and due to that, the Santa Barbara Vaqueros have been playing most of this game just a shade short-handed. We mentioned he leads the team in scoring. This is Rodriguez. He gives it up. De La Fuente skies it over top. It's a goal kick. But we mentioned Retzer. He's not just an integral part of their offense. At times, he has been their offense because he has the 24 points to his credit, 28 points, 12 goals, 4 assists for him. They've had to play without him for 3/4 of this game to this point. To the touchline it goes. Hugo Galeana is going to pick it up with under 14 to play in the second half. 76th minute between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara. Again, Santa Barbara trying to pull off the upset of the state playoffs. The number one team in the country for a long time, 6 different weeks that Fullerton was ranked number 1 in California. Omar Ruiz with it. He's got a goal in the last 2 weeks. Ruiz still with it. Ruiz trying to get past. Sherman slips away from the ball. Tamayo. Now to Aragon. Aragon traps it with his chest. He's going to turn. Finds a little bit of a run with Kyle Sherman. Back to Sherman. As poked by Aragon. Sherman with it. Sherman to the corner. Walks it down the line. Now finds Ruiz. Ruiz trying to swing it down the middle, and it's stepped in front of. Deflected twice. Galeana off his hip. He gets positioning. Finds Sherman. Tamayo. Now to Yol. Yol too far in front of Misa. He's not able to get his run going. And Mark, you look at Misa, he is not comfortable at all right now.
No, and he stopped. There's something wrong. He's either got a cramp or he tweaked something out there, Ryan, because he is not running the field.
He has stopped at the 20-yard line of Fullerton College. Lorena getting her work in here today. It's the athletic training staff for Fullerton College watching all these athletes, and the ball goes out. It will end up being a corner kick coming up, and Fullerton College has to get Misael Gonzalez off the field. And Mark, you mentioned the cramp just a few moments ago. From our vantage point, he is stretching out that calf muscle of his, and we'll see how this develops for Fullerton, as it looks like either Duenas or Evan Courtney are going to enter.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was just going to say to you, the last 3 touches, they have not even run a play in Misa's direction. Hayden Kenny has not had a play run in his direction. And so don't take the ball off of people's feet that can play the game. I know Misa's the magic man, but if he's just not capable, then you don't put the ball on his foot. You put it on somebody who can go and get it.
Into the air. Goes now to Galeana. Misa still walking at the top of the line. He's trying to jog it out here. Now Omar Ruiz gets it all the way back to Sevillano. Sevillano right down the middle of the park. He's looking for Misa. Misa's not able to get over to him. And at next opportunity for the Hornets, you got to think that Misa is going to take a seat here. No, he'll actually stay out there.
I don't mind him staying out there, Ron. I mean, you've got to be aware of him. And even if he's going half speed, you're still aware of him. I don't care if he limps and everything else, because you know what's going to happen. The ball's going to drop right in front of him. He's going to take off, run, and kick it and win the game. He does not come off the field for a substitution.
Nathan Giles into the air. It goes now over to Misa, and he is once again not comfortable trying to stretch something out here, but the Hornets have the ball. They've got Aragon. Aragon now to Galeana, and Galeana just misses up and high.
Now, here's my problem with Misa staying on the field. If he is hurt and you do win this game, did you keep him out there too long in tonight's game? And once again, another substitution. Ryan, he's still there.
He is, and he's trying to stretch out what looks like his right calf at the current moment. Ruben Rivera will take over on the far side for Fullerton for Brian Aragon. And Fullerton still deadlocked at 2 with Santa Barbara. First round of the Southern California playoff.
Would you take him out?
Personally, I
would.
But
look at
here
this.
He
Look
goes.
at this. Oh,
here he
yeah,
goes.
Ryan.
It's Misa, and he just can't catch up to that one. His cleat ends up catching right as he gets set to let go of that shot, and it ends up going off to the left. And Misa is trying to get one of his teammates to help him out there. And that's one thing that when you look at it, Mark, you were talking about it. All he needed was just one extra step, because that ball was going to find him, and he'd be off and running. But just a few moments ago, why he's going to take a seat for Fullerton College is because he just isn't able to get that extra step in front.
One of the people listening to our game, watching it here on KBPK, say he hurt. So we'll see with Misa coming off if Lorena, who's running. You know what? Lorena's ran more than anybody else tonight, I think, on this field. Hayden Kenny needs to get back in this game as Santa Barbara makes their move, Ryan Osborn, where we're at the 8-minute mark plus stoppage time.
2-2 is our score. Into the air, goes off of 2. Now it's going to find the awaiting foot of Carlos Toral. Toral checks in for Misa just a few moments ago. Left-hand side, they're trying to find Kenny. It goes over top of him and away. Left hand to the offense, and it goes out. So the Vaqueros will take over.
Did you think this is where the score was going to be with 8 minutes to go plus stoppage time?
You know, coming into this one, no, especially considering how early we've seen Fullerton end up getting goals. But what's interesting is Santa Barbara City College pours on a lot of shots. You and I talked about it before this broadcast started. 116 shots that they have been able to get on goal whenever they're on the offensive side of things. So it's not like this is a team in Santa Barbara that can't score or doesn't have attacking opportunities. They are able to get shots on when they have the opportunity to. That's what they showed all season. That's why they're a playoff team, because this is a good Vaquero squad. But entering this game, I think a lot of teams thought that Fullerton College would be able to match up a little bit better with the Vaqueros. But plain and simple, Santa Barbara City has decided they're going to try and get themselves into the next round of the playoffs with a huge upset. Foul against Hayden Kenny, middle of the park, and it will be a takeover for the Vaqueros.
And sometimes you wonder why the referee waits so long. If that shot gives the team the advantage, they're not going to blow the whistle and stop the play. I know people wonder every once in a while, why does a referee let the play go so long and then blow the whistle? If the momentum is in your favor for the offensive team and you get fouled, you have a chance. They will not stop the momentum against you.
Into the air, Jonathan Ortiz takes the ball, and he will drop it down. Now Evan Courtney. Courtney looking for Hayden Kenny. Little check there, and it goes Fullerton's way for a free kick.
.557 plus stoppage time as Fullerton is now on the brink of looking at maybe overtime in this game. We're going to get a freebie, a little extra time here on KBPK with Ryan Osborn, Corey Neyland, and myself, the old guy. I've been watching football all day long, Ryan Osborn, and I might as well get one more good one because I had a good one earlier today.
Under 5.5 to play. Ortiz taking a step up to this one. He'll take over, and he'll boot it away. Fullerton offsides if they end up getting them to the ball, and Hayden Kenny was, in fact, in an offside position. The Vaqueros will take it. Vaqueros looking to counter. Here's a chance, a shot that ends up going high and up. Now, Mark, I really like that there from the Vaqueros because you're looking at Matthew Del Paco, who ends up taking a shot just to try and catch Jonathan Ortiz backpedaling just a shade. It's a surprise opportunity, and you're looking at the Vaqueros saying not only are they counterattacking well, not only are they playing defense well over the last 15, 20 minutes to take over this game, but their midfield has decided let's just get any shot possible on frame to see if we can get something going.
Yeah, and you know, everybody's going to look at me right now because I was trying to find out a score, so they're going to ask me why I went to them because they're brighter and younger. And I agree with you. Put a shot on goal if you're Santa Barbara. You may luck out. No, I'm not bad-mouthing a team. At this stage of the game, if you're Fullerton, put a shot on goal. You may luck out. And at this stage of the game, Ryan, that's what you want to do. Get that shot on goal. If you were lucky enough and it goes in and everybody says a fluke goal, who cares? I beat you. And that's all that matters now. It would be an abrupt stop for Fullerton if the season ended tonight. And I will tell you flat out, I'd be thoroughly disappointed because I think this is one of the top teams in the nation for community college soccer.
Well, Mark, I think that when you look around Southern California, you'll see a lot of people who will look at Santa Barbara City and say their record is very deceiving because of all the quality opponents that they've had to play. They've had to play a lot of top 10 teams in the state of California, and they've done very well against them. You're seeing them play one-goal games against some of the top 5 teams, not only just in California, but in the nation as well. Galeana has that ball go off of his hand for a second. Ito is right behind him trying to take that ball over, but instead can't get there in time. Now Galeana Galliano over to his right. Now with Diego Duenas. Duenas with Hayden Kenny. Kenny looking for Terral. Terral looking to his left, but it's too far out in front of Pedro Delgado.
Yeah, Ryan, and you know, here's the thing when you look at this for either one of these teams. I mean, it's been a long season. But when you look at what Greg has done with this program and to come so close, hey, let me lose in the championship game. Let me lose in a semifinal game. Let me be so close. But this is not the game. And there's got to be that miracle down in here on Scherbeck Field for this Hornet team.
And if you're looking for one, well, the ovation is going to go up for Misael Gonzalez.
Thank you.
As he enters for Fullerton College. And for the Hornets, very simply, they've got to get the ball over to him if they want to win. Speaking of, it just goes past him.
And did you see the look when he stopped? Ryan, he heard your words. He went, this is game shot. Because he dropped his head, and I think he knows it. And I think everybody in this stadium knows if you're going to win this, it's either going to be Misa or Hayden that wins this game for you.
And Fullerton College and the Vaqueros of Santa Barbara City currently in additional time after the first 90. Vaqueros trying to counter. Galliana trying to catch up in time. Drop back by Tapia Palacios. Tapia Palacios now to Ito. No foul call there as Misael Gonzalez gets taken off his run. Terral is going to have to watch on. Far side of the pitch. Taken back twice by Karikaburu, and Karikaburu is able to force a throw-in. And Santa Barbara will have a chance in the attacking third. Swung over to the right to DePaco. Hornets now get it back. Still awaiting the official word on the additional time, but Coach Greg Aviles says, I want to get a substitution in here as Garrett Eicherman will re-enter and Kyle Sherman will take a seat. So the current lineup for Fullerton College, very reminiscent of what you have seen throughout the entirety of the season starting lineup-wise. Eicherman, Sevillano, Yole, Giles, Duenas, Galliana, in addition to Evan Courtney, Hayden Kenny, and Misael Gonzalez. Speaking of Misa, he tries to tap this one over top. Misa has a chance on a run on the left-hand side. Rotundo trying to catch up to it. An excellent play by the goalkeeper of Santa Barbara City College as Rotundo is able to catch up to that, and he takes it away. Both teams play back and forth. Fullerton gets fouled, and you see the respect that both these two teams have for each other. Even when there's a lot of heavy contact, even when they have had to go up against one another constantly, they just aren't getting chippy per se. Yeah, it's getting heavily physical, but both teams have an utter respect for each other. And Mark, this is the type of top competition you want in the state of California.
Oh, yeah, and when you watch them play, it's been a clean game. Little pitch shot, looking for Misa, down low.
Up into the air, Hayden Kenny trying to keep it, goes off his shoulder. Terral trying to keep it in front of him, can't do so, and now it's taken away. Santa Barbara moving forward. They've got the left side. Sevillano giving chase. Sevillano forces it away. Does it go off of Sevi and out? It does, and a corner kick very late in this matchup coming up for Santa Barbara. The Vaqueros with a chance to win it here in regulation time if they can do so successfully. Everyone for Santa Barbara City College is coming into the top of the box. They have a chance with Garcia de la Fuente on the far side of the pitch. Uli Sevilla is in there as well. Leonard Przynski, 6'4" defender out of Germany, is also going to be at the top of the box. Everyone swings around. Ortiz takes a step back. It goes back to Kenny. Kenny swinging over to his left. He will sky it out of play, and it will end up past the touchline. The official not calling anything to this point yet in terms of time. Remember, we've had a couple of injury stoppages in this second half, And there's another chance for Santa Barbara to get themselves the game winner. Santa Barbara trying to win this one in spectacular fashion. Kenny stops it. He'll move forward. Kenny wants to find Courtney, and it's too far in front of him.
Misa just looked over at Hayden and said, look for me, look for me. As now, Ryan, if you look at Santa Barbara, they're thinking Misa's hurt, they're willing to play him one-on-one with a defenseman. This is Fullerton's chance. If he has to go one-on-one against somebody, he'll have a good chance to be able to beat him.
Hornets will have to set this ball down. Additional time after the first 90. That's where we are. Saviano backpedals. He's going to boot it over towards the left. It goes now to Courtney. Courtney on the deflection. He does find Misa, who is offsides.
Well, we'll see if the whistle blows soon. I can't believe there's that much stoppage time left on here, and it looks like maybe we're going to get a little free soccer tonight here on KBPK.
Mark, it is extremely interesting to see because you're looking at Fullerton College again throughout the entirety of this season. They have gotten up in games so early that they haven't necessarily had to worry about the late game adversity like this. Obviously, they have had to try and get themselves some wins as this is going to be into the air. Misa sees that popped over top of him. And it will go over to Rotundo. Official not looking at his watch yet, still waiting. Drop down by Rotundo. He's going to kick it away, and it will pop back over towards the Hornets. Little bump there by Duenas. Hayden Kenny still able to keep possession with Galeana. Galeana on the left foot, now right. He'll switch it. Gets that one taken away, dumped out. And a throw-in coming up for Fullerton as Garrett Eicherman is going to toss this one in, but Fullerton's going to make a couple of subs.
Referee just looked at his watch again, Ryan.
He's going to let the substitutions enter, and Hayden Kenny is going to take a seat here for Fullerton College. Ruben Rivera and Omar Ruiz both enter for the Hornets. Nathan Giles is the best throw-in man for Fullerton. He's got the top arm for this team. Sends it, flies into the air. It's clanging around. It's inside the box. It's not cleared enough, and finally gets away. Here's Galeana. He'll take a shot. Doesn't work. Not quite cleared out of the box. Courtney up into the air and wide.
And that was one of the goals that was made in the Cyprus game where it was a jumbled mess in the box. And when it was a jumbled mess, and that is going to take us to the end of regulation, knotted at 2.
A thrilling 90 minutes between Fullerton and Santa Barbara City College. The first half had no goals. The second half had 4 goals in 15 minutes. And Fullerton College and Santa Barbara are knotted up at 2. You are watching the 3C2A Southern California Regional Playoff here on KBPK. Ryan Osborn, Mark Pavlovich, thanking you all for joining us. If you're watching online, you're a Vaquero fan, we invite you in here to KBPK, and we thank you for joining us here tonight. It has been a thrilling second half that we just saw. A tie at 2-2 where Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City get an opportunity to play a little extra, where the, well, plain and simple, stakes could not be higher. You win this matchup, you move on to the next round. You lose this matchup, your season has concluded. Santa Barbara City College, Mark, you cannot give enough compliments to this team for how well they have played.
Well, yeah, they lose their best player or their player that leads the team in goals. He gets taken out early in the first half. They won the first half. There was no doubt about it. They played the Hornets even. When the Hornets got on the board early in the second half, Ryan Osborn and I both looked at each other and said, here comes the onslaught. And then a wicked outside shot that I still don't know how that ever got at that level, got in, and it looked like, uh-oh. But then Fullerton turns around, goes down easily. Misa gets goal number 2 in the second half, and everybody goes, see, Misa's going to win for it. A penalty shot that gets up, getting taken, and Ryan, the goalie, makes the initial block but taps it back to the shooter, and goal number 2 comes in for Santa Barbara. And the one thing you give Santa Barbara, the Vaqueros, is that they have not given up in this game every time that Santa Barbara looks like they're going to let Fullerton pull a Fullerton College Hornet victory. They have stepped up. And so the matchup tonight has been perfect. A Fullerton team that, well, I'm going to look at my partner who is the voice for Fullerton College soccer. Ryan Osborn is still going to say it. As good as Santa Barbara has played, and I'm not taking a thing away from them, this is not the Hornet team I saw when I had the opportunity to be up here with you. You got to turn up the volume.
First, I will turn up the volume
There
on
you
my mic. Secondly, I will tell you why that is. It's because of how well Santa Barbara has played this game. And I will look at the back line and the back 2 midfielders for Santa Barbara and look at the shape that they have taken all day. You look at them. They're marking Misa with 2 different guys. They're taking away the open, flowing offense that Fullerton is used to. You see that Fullerton, a lot of times what we saw throughout this entire season, is they boot the ball down the field and have Hayden Kenny or Misael Gonzalez run up to it and create the offense from there. The shape of Santa Barbara City College and their back 4 and back 2 midfielders has cut that off for Fullerton College. The Hornets just haven't been able to get the offense they want because Santa Barbara is forcing them to change their point of attack.
Well, and let's be realistic. When it came to the defense, you and I have talked about the defense every game I come to here at Fullerton College, you being the voice of the Hornets. And when the Big Sandwich is here, when Joe's here, we always bring up defense. You know I start every game with defense, then to offense. The defense, how many times have they given up 2 goals in a game?
The last time they did it was Cyprus. Before that, you have to go back a couple months.
You know, I mean, Ryan, it's that thing where the defense has played well, but not well enough. And it's the defense that always starts the offense for the Hornets. Misa's breaking. The ball gets to him. Misa can do it. Misa got 2 goals here in the second half. But that's it. Hayden, no real shots on goal. Not really doing anything. The rest of the players around Misa, nobody else has stepped up to say, hey, I know you've got a tweak in your leg. Maybe you've got a cramp going on. I'll take over things with Hayden. And that's what I look at. As much as I want to give Santa Barbara a great deal of credit for their defense, I'm looking at the rest of the players that have relied so much on one player that they're still doing it, and that player is not 100%. I think somebody in the offensive side has got to slap the team and say, guys, he's hurt. He's not going to win it for you. You need to go do it.
Yeah, and if you're Fullerton College, that offense has to come from somewhere. You mentioned Hayden Kenny just a few moments ago. I think I look at a guy like an Evan Courtney or a Brian Aragon. Both those 2 guys have actually had pretty decent games. Specifically, I also want to look at Hugo Galeana. I think that Galeana, he has a couple of goals this season, but he has actually found some really good open space. He's created a lot of scoring chances, 2 of them specifically that come to mind on the right side of the field, where he was just able to find a little pocket of open space and open things up with a pass off to his right both times on a run. Now, when you look at a guy like Galeana, Galeana is going to be the guy who will strike it from outside the box, but he's not going to be that header guy. So you're not going to be giving service to Galeana because he's more of a midfielder, an attacking midfielder at that, but he is a midfielder nonetheless. I think you want to look at a guy like Hugo. If he gets here, it gets some opportunity to play in this not second half, overtime. If he gets the opportunity to work a little bit, that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of success if Fullerton can find an open frame with him.
And Ryan, I'm going to have you explain overtime to our fans, because even though they are fans of the game of football, let them know what's going on now. 15-minute period.
So 15-minute period, there is an opportunity for either of these 2 teams to go out and win it. And Actually, before I even finish explaining it, Mark, have you had the opportunity to see an overtime in the CCCAA SoCal
I have.
Playoff?
Yeah, I have. So it's 15-minute period. You can score as many goals. It's not sudden death. So if a team scores, game's not over. I could score 7 goals and beat you right now 9-2 at the end of the day.
So these two teams will play for a little bit, and they've got to get themselves going. And, Mark, you go back and look at Fullerton and Santa Barbara City College. We've already mentioned the weather. It's not an excuse for the Hornets because they've got to be able to adjust to this, as this is going to be poked over to Toral. Toral wants to find Courtney. Courtney on the left-hand side going one-on-one. He wants to bring it to his left foot, but now gets double-teamed, triple-teamed, and it's taken away and off the Hornets. But this is where conditioning shows up, right? Because you're looking at these two teams and saying, okay, who put in more work in the offseason, entering this season? Who put in the work in the weight room, on the treadmills, on the ellipticals? Well, at least that's what we're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
But put in that time conditioning-wise to get yourself the opportunity to be as active as possible once those first 90 are gone. And who is going to separate themselves just based on that?
Well, I tell you what, if they're like we were halftime eating our food, I tell you what, if they can play the way we eat our food, that team's going to end up winning this game by 4 goals. Because the way we wolf down a burrito is quicker than anything else. You know what? I really do. I've got to see for those role players that need to step up now for your Hornets. And if you're Santa Barbara, you've got nothing to lose to just go all out crazy in this 15-minute period. Nobody expects Santa Barbara to win, so they've got nothing to lose.
And that's what's the beauty of it, Mark, especially in the state playoff, as this goes over to Rivera, is that it's that old cliche, any given Sunday. Any team can come out here and beat any team. And you're looking at Santa Barbara, especially with guys like Garcia de la Fuente, who have come out here and very literally just said, we are facing the number 2 team in the state of California. Let's go out and play our game. If we end up dropping this one, well, the number 2 seed played the number 15 seed. But if they get a win, the ripple effect throughout the state of California, not just Southern California, but the entire state of California would be monumental. And I think that's the mindset you're seeing from Santa Barbara in this one. The energy is high from Santa Barbara. And yeah, everyone says, oh, the energy on this side is good. The energy on that side isn't good from a broadcast standpoint inside the booth. But you're seeing these teams, specifically Santa Barbara, the way that their offense is flowing, they've got a lot more energy to go to those runs in open spacing.
Yeah, they really do. And this is where now, too, the man in the box has to make the play. You know, you hate to put it on one player, but Ryan Osborn, the goalies need to come up big in this 15-minute period.
Jonathan Ortiz has a couple of saves in this one. He does have a save on a penalty shot, but the ensuing rebound ended up right back over to Sebastian Rodriguez for the equalizing goal in this one to make it 2-2. So Ortiz has been lively, he has been active, but there is a goal after a penalty kick was saved. Seviano taken down, and it's going to be a throw-in coming up for Santa Barbara City College. Recapping the scoring as of right now, 49th minute, just 4 minutes out of halftime. Misael Gonzalez scored for Fullerton College on a quick counter, and Fullerton got on the board early in the second half. Just about a minute later, Haru Ito with a clanger of a shot to the top right-hand portion of the frame to get a goal, and it made it 1-1. Fullerton, 55th minute, 5 minutes after that equalizer by Santa Barbara City, ended up getting another goal by Misael Gonzalez to make it 2-1 off a quick turnover. And then just about 10 minutes after that, Santa Barbara with the equalizer. That has been the last goal that we have seen. The 65th minute, Sebastian Rodriguez doesn't score on the penalty kick, but he does get his own rebound and put it away. So it's 2-2, Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City battling it out here in the first overtime frame. Little dropper goes over towards the knee of Kenny. Kenny trying to get up to it. Make that Courtney. Courtney on the turnaround. Sends that too high. Ruben Rivera trying to catch up to it, but just isn't able to get there in time. Mark, Evan Courtney got the possession, but was just underneath the ball.
Yeah, and he lifted it up just a little too much to take it all the way out there. You know why this is going into overtime, don't you? Because people don't think I've had enough football today. Started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm still here. My pleasure to be with one of the best broadcasters in the nation, Ryan Osborn, when it comes to the game of soccer and any other sport.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. It is appreciated, as Yoel is going to chase back for this one, and it will be a Fullerton College throw-in. Coach Greg Aviles on the near side of the field trying to coach up the shape of this Fullerton College squad. As of right now, giving a little bit of open spacing, but they almost force a turnover here. That will be a foul, and we should get our first card of this one, and it will indeed be shown to Diego Duenas. So Duenas gets called for it 6 minutes into overtime, so that would be the 96th. And in a game that has been pretty clean overall, continues to do so. It wasn't a malicious type of thing there, Mark. He just ends up getting the studs up on the tackle, and he gets shown the card.
Yeah, and it's really not if a player gets hurt or anything. It's intent from that person who makes the play. So, I mean, you can have people that'll pop right up, and they could get a card because the referee thinks it is a dangerous play. So I come across Ryan's knees. I hit him very high. I don't get to the ball first, which I know as a player that I should have. It was a late tackle on my part, and that's why you'll get a card. It's not always because a player lays on the ground writhing in pain, and everybody goes, oh, they should. No, it's that where the intent was made. And we're getting a variety, Ryan, of substitutions here by Greg.
Yeah, Hayden Kenny is going to re-enter for Evan Courtney. So Courtney had a couple of chances, but now Hayden Kenny is back out there, and that top attacking trio for Fullerton is going to try and get themselves some work in here. Left-hand side of the park, Simon Karikaburu will bring it over to Garcia de la Fuente. Garcia de la Fuente poked back over to Tapia Palacios. Nathan Giles into the air. Trying to field it here is Kenny. Goes over top of him. He's in a battle now with Misa. Misa back to Kenny. Kenny has it go off his back heel and away. A little bit of contact there. So Alexis Tamayo. It goes into it with Aiden Tapia Palacios. And Tapia Palacios is on the ground for the moment being. He will be attended to by the athletic training staff. Lots of student athletes here tonight, Mark, that are just kind of either cramping up or getting some small knocks here.
Yeah, I saw Corey Neyland come on over here just get a drink of water because I think he's cramping up running the far end camera for us. The physical activity is wearing him out right now here on sportsnetusa.net. Oh, wait a minute. We're KBPK, aren't we? Ryan didn't even pick on me for getting that free plug in there.
I heard it, but you know what? It's a nice, beautiful night in Fullerton, so we're giving an extra chance here.
Well, and we talk about Fullerton football next Saturday. That game will be on sportsnetusa.net.
It will indeed. Fullerton College and Ventura, a 12 p.m. matchup between those two sides. But for now, Fullerton College football, as we have been following Fullerton football the entirety of the season on Football Fridays. That Cuyamaca matchup, IVC, Saddleback, Golden West, Cypress as well. As Alexis Tamayo tries to bring it forward, and it gets checked back away from him. Sebastian Rodriguez on the possession there. Over top of Tamayo. Here's Garcia de la Fuente. Gets it taken away, and it is Sevillano who comes out of the pack with it. Sevillano still with a lot of contact directly beneath him. It goes over to Misa. Misa wants a chance, can't break away, takes a shot, and it ends up getting blocked.
1-on-4, Ryan. Misa against 4 defenders. Nobody trailing him, nobody on the wings to help him, and that's what we talked about. Somebody else on this offensive end has to step up and help him out.
Galeana trying to take that away. That will be a card coming out for Galeana. with 5:10 left to go in the first overtime frame. It's going to be exciting to see who ends up getting on the board next. Now, you always hear the cliche phrase, right? Next goal wins. But, Mark, you look at the way that this game has gone, I don't think that's the case.
No, I don't either. I don't think either of these teams, if somebody scores right now and there's 5 minutes left, they're not going to win. And I think if it comes to the traditional shootout, the goalies are going to be the big heroes at the end of the night.
Near side of the park, it's taken over. Here is Ortiz. He decides to punch that one away. Didn't have time to corral it completely. As Ruben Rivera just gets it past 2, he ends up getting it taken away by Tapia Palacios. However, the Hornets bring it back. Just for a moment, Misa has to go back for it. Foul against the Vaqueros, and Fullerton will place it down with Tamayo. So 100th minute for Hugo Galeana. He gets his booking. That's 2 for Fullerton. Dueñas and Galeana within 4 minutes of each other in the first overtime frame. Ian Becerra-Scott entered for Fullerton just a few moments ago. Into the air. This ball is now with Misa. He tries to turn around on it, and Rotundo gets hit in the face as he is trying to let go of that ball, but he ends up just kind of knocking heads with a Fullerton Hornet. I believe that was Rivera.
Yeah, and Rotundo came out to punch it too. That's when he collided with Misa. Then he realized the ball was going to drop and had to continue going after it, trying to control it so that Fullerton can get a cheap shot or an easy shot.
Left-hand side. Giles is going to have to watch on. Santa Barbara with a chance to attack. They're going to get a corner kick out of this. And actually, I take that back. Far side official says that that was an offside. And Fullerton College saves themselves there because that was a quick counterattack that went Santa Barbara's way. And Santa Barbara was about to force a corner kick out of that opportunity. So an offsides, and Fullerton will take it back. Misa, lots of contact there. There's a foul, and it will go against Fullerton. Ian Becerra-Scott gets pushed down. That should at least be a booking, if I'm not mistaken. Both teams being told to separate sides. The official, Mark, just kind of looks at them and says, guys, what are we doing here?
2 yellows are what you're going to get here, Ryan.
You're going to get a yellow on Ian Becerra-Scott for being the 3rd guy in, and then it should be a yellow on Pedro Guillen for being the 4th guy in.
So it's tickets galore, just like when Ryan and I turned around and looked, saw a police officer standing at the back door. Ryan and I both thought we were getting yellow cards.
You know, I was a little surprised when I looked back and then just realized he was enjoying listening to us both talk about the game and watch it.
Yeah, he was having a great old time, then realized he had to go back to work.
2-2 is our score as we are under 2 minutes left in the first overtime frame. Heavy contact. Vaqueros don't get the benefit of a call. Garcia de la Fuente deflected twice. Dangerous play there as that's into the air still. Alexis Tamayo now with Hayden Kenny. Kenny, little drop back. They're looking for Misa. Misa looking for space away from him twice, and nice job there by Guillen. Guillen with Tamayo. Goes more off of Tamayo's back than his head, so he wasn't able to control it the way that he wanted to. Ricardo Michel, who has a goal this season in that final game against Golden West, watches on as he ends up getting whistled for one. Diego Dueñas, here's another booking. This is Tamayo. So in a game that was clean, physical, but clean, throughout the entirety of the 90, switches over into a game with a lot of contact, yellow cards galore.
Yeah, and what you see happening right now, Ryan, is that people are grabbing, people are frustrated, people are saying, hey, this game should be over. for either side. If you're a Santa Barbara fan, you're thinking it should be over. If you're a Fullerton College fan, you think it should be over. And the players on the field are now acting that way. I'm going to run over you instead of playing what I should be playing. I'm going to play the ball. I'm going to play you and go down and take you down and be physical with you and not care. And it's that aspect of not caring that the referee will come out and say, okay, Ryan, there's your yellow. Congratulations. Okay, Maddie, you get a red, because you've got to have the enthusiasm, but you've got to play fair as we get a Vaquero that just hobbles off the field. And we're in stoppage time, Ryan. Who knows how long we're going to be here tonight on KBPK.
We are indeed, as Aiden Tapia Palacios was the one who ended up being attended to, and now will end up on the bench on the far side of the park. Like you mentioned, Mark, stoppage time here in the first overtime. Left-hand side, here's a chance. It's down the middle. Ortiz has to slide this one away. That was a great chance for Santa Barbara to get themselves back on the board. But now they have another opportunity. It slid away, deflected twice, clanging around inside the box still, and finally, Sevi is able to dump it out. Seviano there as that second line of defense for Fullerton College. And Hayden Kenny watching on as that ball goes out. Athletic training staff for Fullerton College has had to be lively here tonight, as there has been a lot of student athletes on both sides who have unfortunately been bothered by knocks that they have received while competing in this one. Switched over by Duenas. Duenas wants Misa on the right-hand side of the park. Misa with it. He's now going to be double-teamed as there's a Vaquero catching up. A shot on goal goes to Rotundo, and Rotundo is able to make the save.
And not that I want any athlete to be hurt, but I want to thank everybody that's gone down and kept Lorena busy, because she hasn't come up here and said anything to me tonight. So this is a good thing here on
true.
KBPK.
We didn't have our usual Lorena chat before every single matchup here that Fullerton College has, whether it's a Fullerton College football game or water polo as well. Athletic training staff has been very kind to us throughout the entirety of the time that KBPK has been here. Beautiful, smart, brilliant even play there by Seviano, who realizes there's an attacker right behind him and he does not have the time to get it over to his goalkeeper in Jonathan Ortiz. He keeps possession for the Hornets and gets it over to Omar Ruiz. Ruiz now to Misa. Misa working 1v2 and gets that slid away from him. No penalty call coming, and that is a good no call. He did have a lot of contact, but nothing was preventing him from moving forward. The Hornet fans not thrilled with the non-call just a few moments ago, and Coach Greg Aviles asking for one as well. Throw in coming up far side of the park.
Ryan, foot, ball. I get my foot on the ball. I play it cleanly. If I take you out, but my foot is on the ball in my slide when I make my tackle, and I am not playing your legs, I am playing the ball, and I make contact, clean contact with the ball, it's a clean tackle. I don't care if you go head over heels. It is a clean tackle because the player you tackle goes flying down. It doesn't mean it was a cheap shot, and this is one thing that everybody sort of doesn't realize when you look at things that happen. It can look vicious, but it really is a nice play. We're getting a little shoving going on, and Ryan, it really is a little shoving going on now before the ball's getting thrown in from the sides. You're getting people that are grabbing onto the goalie, pushing against the goalie, and then trying to react to where they want to be.
Into the box it goes. Omar Ruiz trying to backpedal on that one, but just wasn't able to get to it. Kind of slid away from him. Up into the sky it goes. Now to Hayden Kenny off of his shoulder, and it gets away. Misa end up falling to the ground, and that will do it for the first overtime frame. So at the end of one overtime of play, a full 90 as well, it remains 2-2 Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City. You're watching the CCCAA SoCal Regional Playoff here on KBPK.
Hey, I haven't even heard if the Big Sandwich has said anything or watching this game.
He is.
All
he
right.
actually just texted us. He said, hey, this game is getting very interesting, very wild even, because that's exactly what has happened in the last 15 minutes of play. A lot of the chaos that has taken place took place in that overtime frame. And you know what, Mark? If you're looking for an opening round of a state playoff, this is exactly what you're looking forward to.
So Maddie Smith said goodnight to us, so she's going out the door. So she's been here so long. So we've lost one player from an overtime soccer game. Corey Neyland's still here. Maddie finally said, you know, nobody told me I was working overtime tonight. I'm going home. Wesley's having a good time out over to the right. Ryan, here's the thing now that you look at. As more as this goes on, I've got to look at you and ask you, does this really back the Hornets into a hole when we look at this at the end of the day?
When you look at Fullerton overall, they have played enough games to be able to say that they have been in a situation similar to this. You go back to that Cyprus game like we mentioned. In that case, they were actually behind by 1 going into the final stages of that game. You go back to that Richland game. You also look at that IVC game where they ended up drawing 3-3 after going up 3-0. I think Fullerton has played in a lot of different situations, and they have the sophomore experience to be able to say, hey, here in this second overtime frame, we faced this before, and we know how to overcome it. The question is, can they assert themselves? It's not just about whether they've seen it, Mark. It's about whether or not they can come out in the second overtime frame and say, we're the number two team in the state. That's right. They are the number 2 team in the state. Go out and play like it. That's the question looming over them. But if you switch it over to Santa Barbara's side, we already said you cannot compliment this team enough for how well they have played in this one. Mark, I think it's all going to come down to one counterattack by Santa Barbara. If they can convert on it, this game's over.
Really, and see, I look at it, even if Santa Barbara, I actually think that's the wake-up call that Fullerton needs. I think Santa Barbara needs to come out early and get a goal. And all of a sudden Fullerton goes, oh my goodness, the nightmare has happened. My season's almost over. And I think Fullerton switches it off. It's going to be interesting if it comes out down to a shootout, because anything can happen in a shootout. All you need is one miss in a shootout, and you go home, and you've played beautiful soccer all night, and it doesn't really matter. And, of course, you know, it's almost like when this game gets over and we all leave and you've got all this equipment to put away by yourself. You know. But, Ryan, I really do. I think Fullerton needs to get a shock right about now to wake them up into this second overtime period here on KBPK.
Angel Diaz not in the lineup tonight for Santa Barbara City College. And also their top scorer, Charles Retzer, ended up with an injury in the first half. So they are down 2 of their best players statistically, Mark, in terms of their attack, in terms of what they can do defensively. And yet this is a Santa Barbara team that is tied with, as we've said before, the number 2 team in the nation, the number 1 team in the entire state for 6 straight weeks, Fullerton College. Back underway here in the second half of play between Fullerton and Santa Barbara City. Excellent chance for these 2 teams to get themselves into the second round. Whoever wins this game will move on into the second round. If it's Fullerton, they will host the next matchup. If it is Santa Barbara City College, they will be on the road. Garrett Eicherman on the left-hand side of the park. He's going to be caught up to as this is swung over towards the middle, just outside the box. It gets away and will find Ruben Rivera. Goes back to Yole. Yole nearly turns that one over as the ball gets by him. Jonathan Ortiz. Up into the air. Now off to the foot of Tapia Palacios. Here's Misa. Misa on the left. Misa trying to get to this ball. finds it into the corner, still in frame, still with it, still looking for a teammate. He finds Aragon. Aragon left-footed down the middle of the park, can't get that one to work. Deflects twice. Finally ends up the far side to Devin Villegas, and Villegas will see that ball given right back over to Santa Barbara. Nathan Giles on the cutoff. He'll find Rivera. Ruben Rivera, left-hand side now to Eicherman. Eicherman pushing it over for Sean Callahan, but Callahan wasn't expecting that pass to come over towards him. Chopped up into the box. Rotundo takes over. And Marco Rotundo, 11 games that he has started this season, a 2 goals against average, 34 saves, and a .723 save percentage. And it has been more than enough in this matchup as he has been good tonight.
You know, when you think about Misa getting those 2 goals again tonight, giving him 26 for the season, throwing on now up to 59 points for the year, you can feel the frustration on the field from him. You watch him with 3 defenders on top of him, and you keep thinking, if he's thinking, hey, if I got 3 in me, there's got to be somebody open. There's got to be somebody I can go to. Hayden Kenny on the other side, where you look at him with his 5 goals and 7 assists, 17 points for the season, has been close but hasn't been able to bring anything home. And that's the thing you're looking at right now with this team. And that's one of the things that's interesting too, Ryan. You can look at Kenny with 5, Marquez with 4, Quintana with 4. Nobody else more than 5. After Hayden Kenny's got 5, Misa's the only one that's sitting there with the big fruit tree.
Ball goes out. Fullerton's going to have a throw in, and the athletic training staff is going to have to wheel themselves over to the other side of the park again.
You know, good. I'm glad that Lorena played soccer because she's used to running all over the place like she has tonight.
There's been a lot of work for the Fullerton College athletic training staff here tonight. And yeah, we mentioned it more than a few times. It's for both teams. It has been kind of a tough situation here tonight in terms of injuries overall. Left side of the park. Here's Misa. He's trying to take it over. Now goes towards the left side of the box. He's still with it. Here's a shot. Misa gets that one blocked away.
And Ryan, when you look at it, I think every minute that passes, Santa Barbara is more and more confident on the defensive end and on the offensive end. It's not only the offensive end, but they've played solid defense against a prolific Hornet offense.
Nathan Giles is going to see a corner kick coming up for the Hornets as that one gets headed away and past the end line. So left-hand side, Fullerton College will take over here, and they have Brian Aragon chasing after it. So inside the box for the Hornets, Nathan Giles, Garrett Eicherman, Misael Gonzalez, Hayden Kenny, in addition to Devin Villegas as well. Outside the box is Seviano. Swung in, deflected away twice. Now back to Yoel. Yoel's going to chase it down near the corner, and it is cleared away. Garcia de la Fuente tried to move it past 2. He ends up getting that one stripped from him. Now a chance for Misa, but it's too far out in front.
And this is where in your set pieces you need to become very precise. If you get the luckiness of getting that corner kick, you need to make sure everybody is set up and know where they are going when the ball is kicked.
Into the air it goes. Sean Callahan backpedaling on it. Chopped over towards Yoel. Yoel will walk it right to the line, and it's going to be a throw-in as it deflects off of Fullerton College. Ito wisely there, doesn't end up going after that ball.
He lobbied
He
that
did.
throw-in. He lobbied that throw-in. Ito did.
Well, that's the thing, Mark. He had the read on it from the get-go. That's why he didn't pressure. No offside. Ito. Now with Tapia Palacios, and that gets turned over, so the Hornets will take it. Under 9 to play. in the second overtime frame. Reminder that if it stays deadlocked, we will go to penalty kicks, where it will essentially be a flip of the coin on who ends up going to the second round of the SoCal Regional Playoffs.
Okay, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say we don't get that far. Somebody's going to win it in this period.
Sean Callahan wants to see what he can do about Mark's prediction. Yoel. Eicherman. Taken away. Now the Vaqueros with Ito. Ito with a very strong left leg. He has a brilliant goal in this one earlier. Vaqueros keep it for a moment, but it now lands with Eicherman. Eicherman says, let's clear it. Let's get it over to Misa if we can. Not taken away before Villegas can get to it. And it's dropped over to the Hornets. Hornets with Villegas. Devin Villegas has it deflect off of him. Ends up trying to swing it down towards the middle. Goes off of a defender. Blocks it right back into him. And the Vaqueros will take over. Now Tamayo with Giles. Pinball action between both sides. Off the head of two. And it will end up onto the awaiting foot of Karikaburu. Karikaburu with Duenas, Fullerton College, whistle.
And Ryan, if you watch the Hornets right now, people are just trying to clear the ball out of their defensive zone, not looking where they're going. I'm going to take it up. I'm going to take it up the middle. I'm not going to take it up and out. And this is where you're seeing now, because players are tired. This has been a long game. The weather isn't ideal to be played at night. Just over the top of the goal. Boy, that was close.
It ended up looking like it was going to carry and not even be close to that top right-hand corner, and it had enough topspin on it that it just started dropping. Mark, that looked like a drop pitch that you would see in softball.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a heavy ball when it got out there, and that could be the part of this game too. The misjudgment because the ball is not sailing the way it was earlier. A goalie could get faked out real easy in this game. And Ryan, here when you watch Fullerton now, normally when they break in the ball, they've got more than two people up the field. You watch it now, they break in the ball, they've got only two people up the field, and everybody is behind midfield. I don't know if the team is tired. I don't know if they're saying we'll take a shootout if we can get it, but it is not that aggressive Hornet team we normally see.
Ruben Rivera has it go off of his left shin. You mentioned that. It has been tough sledding for both these two teams offensively in the recent going as this goes over to Giles. Giles is pushed after the fact, but nothing much there. I think it's more of a lots of contact between two players, and you just continue the play.
And let me give a lot of credit, like you have tonight, to Santa Barbara to force Fullerton to change things. You know, now we don't know if it's because of Santa Barbara or what the attitude is on the field, but it's a little different team watching him right now against this very good Santa Barbara team.
Here's Duenas. Duenas wants to go up towards Misa. Fullerton College has basically decided they're going to sky it away. Here's Ito. I don't think he wanted to go for goal. I think he was more indecisive between actually pushing it up towards the left or going towards Garcia de la Fuente on the right. And it ends up into the awaiting arms of Ortiz. Here's Misa, off his knee, lots of contact. He's able to keep possession of the ball, but he's on his left foot, not his dominant foot. But here's Misa on a chance, and he dribbles that one in. And I like that shot there, Mark, because in these conditions with how wet the field is, how slick the ball has been, and the possession isn't as clean, it's the type of shot you just want to put on frame just to see whether or not you can get a rebound.
And it really was one of Misa's better shots since he got injured earlier in this game.
Sean Callahan wisely ends up sending it off of a Vaquero and out. Actually put it right off of Uli Sevilla. Here's Ito. Playing a give and go with Contreras. Contreras has that bonding off of him, and it will go over to Duenas. Duenas off of Tapia Palacios and finally brought over towards Misa. Misa bumps it back over top of him, almost takes that away. The oohs and ahs from the crowd because they are accustomed to seeing something spectacular in that kind of play. And Fullerton College is going to make a substitution here. Evan Courtney in, Devin Villegas goes out, Sean Callahan out, Hayden Kenny in.
Well, Greg down the bench said Mark made a prediction, so Hayden go on in there and make sure that Mark looks like he's right.
Popped up. Now near midfield. It goes near Courtney, Ito. Now with Eicherman. Eicherman has it go off the side of his foot, and Mario Floriano makes the save.
It's good.
Under 3 minutes left in regulation, overtime-wise. So we played a full 90. We played an additional 15 of overtime frame number 1, and frame number 2 is coming to a close. If it remains deadlocked, it is Fullerton College and Santa Barbara penalty kicks to decide who goes to round 2. Foul call against Fullerton College, and it will be booted all the way down to the top of the box. Mark, just the way that this game has shaped up, it is almost fitting to see it go into penalty kicks because of how well both teams have just shut the other team down.
Yeah, Ryan, you're right on in saying that because, I mean, as good as in his statements that we made, somebody doesn't look that good, realize that isn't always just because of you. It could be what the other team has done to you, what they've taken away from you, what they stop you from normally doing, and that's what Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, you said it twice tonight. They stopped the mo for Fullerton. Fullerton had the momentum. They stopped it, and you being the voice of the Hornets, you've seen when they get the mo, they continue to do it. They haven't been able to do that tonight.
Throwing coming up for Santa Barbara on the far side of the pitch. Goes now to Courtney after it deflects away. Courtney wants to go to Misa on the left-hand side. That's going to be too far in front of him, or will he keep it in? He keeps it in. He has it on the left-hand side just outside the box, trying to dribble his way to the inside. He's taken down, no call coming, and it will be a goal kick coming up. Fullerton fans not happy with that call. Not only did they want the penalty shot, they wanted at least the opportunity for a corner kick, and the official says no, it goes off the knee. Substitution, Fullerton is trying desperately to get Mario Floriano into the game. Why, you ask? Because Floriano is a 6'2", 6'3" goalkeeper. Jonathan Ortiz is excellent reflex-wise, as you saw him save a penalty earlier on in this game. But in this situation, Fullerton opting with the taller goalkeeper in Floriano. Those two guys, very good of friends. We talked to them on the coaches show earlier on this week and just got a feel for what they are able to bring style-wise. And when you look at Jonathan Ortiz, he mentioned it. He's more reflex. He's more keep his guys spacing correctly. That is his style. This goes over to Ito. Right-hand side. He's trying to finish this game off before we can get to penalties. Ito can't quite get the possession he wanted. Galeana directly in front of him. Now Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez now to Aragon. Aragon has to slow things down. He gets taken down, deflected twice. It goes to Kenny. Kenny drops it down to Evan Courtney. Fullerton trying to pick something out of a hat. They've got Misa. Misa nearly taken down, but he keeps it in just for a moment. He's outside the box on the left-hand side of the park. He finds Hugo Galeana. Galeana to Aragon. Aragon, little poker, floats into the arms of Rotundo to make the catch. And we will see if that chance is the one that takes us to penalties or whether or not we're going to get an opportunity to get ourselves at least a goal between these two sides. Here's Kenny. Kenny sees the takeaway, tries to get it over to Misa, can't do so successfully. It finds Diego Duenas. Duenas. Does it go off the Hornets and out? Both referees are asking. They say it does not matter. And it will end up being penalty kicks between Fullerton College and Santa Barbara City. You are watching the CCCAA SoCal Regional Playoff here on KBPK.
Well, you look at this game so far and the way it's been played out, it's been dead even when you looked at it. It started off that way where it looked like Fullerton was going to be that juggernaut one more time as Misa got the first goal there, and everybody felt like they were chanting his name. Everybody was talking about what he can do. You looked at him. He has played in 20 games this season. He has started 17 of them. He's got 24 goals. Now he's got 26 if you had tonight. 7 assists, 55 points for the season. He shoots about 400%. Well, actually, it's 40% if you look at it as 100, or 400 if you look at 1,000. Shot on goals, 38. 65% of the time, his shot is on a goal when you look at him. Penalty kicks, he is 1 for 1. And they say gold-winning shots that he's had this season, they're only giving him 7. If you followed the Hornets all year long, he has probably had more than that. Hayden Kenny on the other side has done that, where you look at what's going on with him, where he's got 21 games he played. He started 11 of them. He's only got 5 goals. And now, Ryan Osborn, you're going to pick. I'm going to throw it at you before they get out there. You go ahead, pick your goal shooters for your penalty kicks, or like I like to say, for the shootout. Pick your guys that you're going to take for Fullerton.
I think I would start things off with Hugo Galeana. I would go to Brian Aragon, and the third person in my lineup would be Misao Gonzalez. That's the part where, just in case you need a turnaround, you want to make sure that your guy is out there. Don't start him off there. I'd start him at the 3 spot. If you are Santa Barbara, I think the number 3 guy who steps up to the plate will end up being Brandon Garcia de la Fuente. He's been the one who has created the most amount of offense for them. Ito also has to be a penalty kick taker in this one as well. I think those 2 guys are the 2 big ones that you have to be able to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it too, Ryan, we always know the first person that steps up sets the tone. And it sets the tone not only for those that are the people that are involved in the penalty kicks or the shootout, whatever you like to call it. It sets the tone for the individual that's in the goal for that team. That goalie makes that first block. You know what? You're in the hole to start with. You're losing to start the game. And that's the important thing when you think about the ones that are going to be on the field making that shot. If you can make that first block, it's beautiful. If you can't, then you're in trouble. Normally, they flip a coin to see who starts first. I guess Fullerton had the option as this go being the home team.
So they're going to kick on the left side of the field. And everyone is going to watch on. And as you mentioned, Mark, it looks like Fullerton has deferred.
So this is where you want to set the tone. You want to make that first stop.
Mario Floriano is going to be the keeper for Fullerton College. And it looks like it is Garcia de la Fuente who will take it on the other side.
And unlike a penalty kick, it's your initial shot, and that's it. If I block it, it's done. Where with a penalty kick, as soon as it's blocked by the goalie, it's a live ball. That's not what a shootout is about. It's the original shot that you take on the goalie. If they make the save by a toenail, or if they make the save because it flicks off the shoe and goes the wrong direction, luckily, that's it. Play's over. That is the difference between a shootout and true penalty kicks when you have them. So Santa Barbara will start things off, and this will set the tone for Fullerton's first move.
So you see Garcia de la Fuente. He's going to step up to it, and he scores. So Garcia de la Fuente gets the opener, and Fullerton is going to bring up Misael Gonzalez.
So what you're down is you're down 1-0. This is where some people will say, I don't want to defer. I want to be up first. I force you to make this first goal, because if you miss it, technically you're down by a goal and a half.
Misael Gonzalez will take it for Fullerton College. He'll approach right-footed. He scores.
Almost. And Ryan Osborn, you and Greg disagree with the way you would have started. You said you would have kept Misa there as third. Greg decides to go with him. I sort of side with you because you put him up. You shot your wad on the first one, and we'll see what happens now. And boy, that was high into the top of the net.
So the next penalty taker will end up being Sevilla. Uli Sevilla. Right-footed again. Saved by Floriano.
So now when you step up there for Fullerton, again, I give everybody that half a point on a miss or a save. Worst case scenario, you're tied.
Next chance. Here's Joel. He'll score. So Fullerton up 2-1 in penalties at the current moment.
And Ryan, you did tell everybody there's only 5 attempts, right?
There are 5 attempts, and the question is, can you get the advantage on your opponent? Next chance is going to be Contreras. Contreras, Gino, no goal.
And here's the thing that happened with Contreras, Ryan. If we had that in instant replay, he sees the goalie leaning and says, I'm going to go behind you. But since you can't move till the ball is struck by the offensive player, he overthought. I've got to beat you on the backside. All he had to do was put it 2 feet to his left, and he'd have had it. Big shot.
Sevillano will take this next one. The co-captain scores. You bring up confidence. You bring up a sophomore experienced captain to give you the opportunity to win it. So now the option is there for Fullerton College. The chance is there. If Fullerton and Mario Floriano make the save, this game will be over, and Fullerton will find themselves in to the second round. Floriano will watch that go in. It's buried. And now Fullerton with the chance, Mark. All they need is to convert. That would make it 4 for Fullerton and no opportunity for Santa Barbara to get a 4th. And coming up to take it will be Diego Duenas. Duenas substituted in 3 different times because of how well he fits into this game. Duenas gets that one saved. Rotundo keeps Santa Barbara in it. An excellent save there by Rotundo, and he keeps the Vaqueros in this matchup. The yells on the far side of the field as they are celebrating for the moment being, but they've got to get a goal from Sebastian Rodriguez. Fullerton College and Santa Barbara, the drama continues to build. Fans here on the near side of the field starting to make their own clamor. Sebastian Rodriguez. The computer is shaking. Everyone's ready. Rodriguez steps to it and misses. Fullerton College has the opportunity here in the state of California to continue in competition. Garrett Eicherman with a chance to end it. Eicherman, first team all-conference selection, doesn't get that one to go. And Santa Barbara has tied this one up.
Normally you see 5 in this, Ryan. I don't know if you do 7. I can't tell you on the community college level. Normally this would be over.
This is Ito. Ito gets that one to sneak by Floriano. So Ito scores. And now Cesar Marquez has to convert for Fullerton.
Or do you let everybody that was on the field shoot? I don't know what this, I do know on the professional level, it's 5. I don't know. Ryan's looking at me now saying, hey, you're looking for an answer from me? I can't give you one. Thanks, Ryan.
We continue playing until we know the reaction from the field. Here's Aragon. Aragon scores.
So it's now 4-2-3 in favor of the Hornets, correct?
That's what we have marked down. Santa Barbara, I believe it's 6-6 on the board. You know what, Mark? I believe that the Contreras one went through, but went through the net. We're as confused as everyone else.
Okay. How come everybody cheered on this side like it was a miss?
I believe there was a little bit of confusion from the fans. So as of right now, it's 6-6, Santa Barbara and Fullerton. The drama continues because Fullerton is looking to Floriano for a save. They've got to get one here. Here's the chance and a goal. That was converted just a few moments ago by Simon Karikaburu. And Karikaburu continues his solid outing here today. He has continually been good on the left side of the field for them. He shut down chance after chance after chance.
You know,
and now Fullerton needs Galeana.
You know what's on the scoreboard is the attempts. Because Fullerton will come up and make an attempt. Not everybody has scored. That means that nobody would have missed if that was a scoreboard. That's the attempts.
Here's Galeana. Pokes that one in. Galeana has some words to talk to with Rotundo afterwards.
So that's the attempt because, Ryan, if you looked at this with what we were doing, that means nobody would have ever missed.
No, you are correct, Mark, as this match keeps floating along. Fullerton and Santa Barbara.
So they give the amount of attempts with players on the field. So whatever your 10 are, that's why you had to change your goalie. It's the last 10 you play with get to shoot. That's what it's going to be.
Turn around for Sevilla. A chance and a goal. And Mark, it just feels like neither of these two teams want to go home. They continue on. Everyone from around Southern California tuning in to Fullerton College Santa Barbara. 2 goals for Fullerton, 2 goals for Santa Barbara. Overtime, nothing. And we are in a penalty shootout. Fullerton needs a goal here from Hayden Kenny.
JP, we're trying to end it. And my interpretation of this, JP, is that everybody that's on the field gets to shoot a penalty kick. So your 10 players offensively get to do it because that's what we've got up on the board.
Hayden
this
Kenny
will be the 8th attempt for Fullerton. But, Ryan,
Here's
Man.
Kenny. Doesn't get that to go. Santa Barbara wins it. The Vaqueros with a stunner here in Fullerton. They come to House Scherbeck Field, and they have displaced the number 2 team in the state of California. Santa Barbara will march on to next week, and the Vaqueros will find themselves in round 2 of the 3C 2A Southern California Regional Playoff in an historic upset at Fullerton. Mark, you look at this game. Rotundo keeps them in, and he gives them the win.
Yeah, I really think the difference is, though, the offensive play by Santa Barbara. Their best player goes down, and their role players come up big to get 2 big goals for him, Ryan, to keep this game, to go into overtime. That's the difference of the game tonight. No one's win it. The superstars come away with no help at all.
The emotion pouring out from the Hornets and also the Vaqueros on both sides, as both teams will shake hands and get an opportunity to congratulate the Vaqueros on moving on. And for Fullerton, it's sincere condolences in what was a magnificent regular season that comes to an end in surprising fashion at House Scherbeck Field. And Mark, let's go back to the performance by the Vaqueros. We said you can't give them enough compliments, but you know what, Mark? This is a Vaquero team that did exactly what you said. They came into Fullerton College saying, we're facing the number 2 team in the state of California. We have nothing to lose. Let's go out. Let's force them to play a different style than what you're used to. And you know what? Not only did it work, the Vaqueros simply enforced their will.
Yeah, and let's not take away the fact that Misa goes down, and Ryan, we saw him. He wasn't as sharp as he was once his injury hurt him and held him back, and nobody picked up the slack when he went away offensively. That just slowed the Hornet attack that has been incredible all year long to absolutely zip. And at the end of the game, it came down to penalty shots. And you know what? We said it once again. It's the person at the goal that makes you look really, really good. Everybody was feeling good here at Fullerton. 2 great shots that were blocked, and the Hornets come away with a loss.
And Floriano did everything he could. He got 3 different stops for the Hornets. But on the other side, Rotundo is very simply the one who not only kept them in it, he had 6 saves in the back half of this game and got them 4 different stops in the final frames here. And Santa Barbara City College gets their opportunity to celebrate and march on. That's going to do it for us tonight. We want to thank Maddie Smith and Wesley Putney as well. And you know what? We want to thank the entire coaching staff for the Fullerton College Hornets, from Greg Aviles, Kenny Castellanos, and also all the family members who have contacted us, thanked us for being out here. We thank you for joining us the entirety of this season and for following along on KBPK, whether it be through Football Fridays or on Saturday as well. That's going to do it for us here tonight. For Maddie Smith, Wesley Putney, Corey Neyland, Mark Pavlovich, and myself, Ryan Osborn, our final, it is Santa Barbara who moves on in penalty kicks over top of Fullerton College, and they will move on to round 2 of the Southern California Regional Playoff. You have been watching Fullerton College football here on KBPK.